A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Portland, a voice like yours should be racing.
It's Texaco time with the Metropolitan Opera star, Miss Rita Stevens, Portland Harper, the Texaco Workshop Players, Al Goodman and his orchestra, and starring Fred Allen. Jimmy Wallington saying hello for your neighborhood Texaco dealer and inviting you to be his guest tonight at the Texaco Star Theater. It's his way of telling you that you're welcome. Welcome to all the skilled help he can give to make your tires and car last longer. Make your tires last longer by giving them a regular Texaco checkup on pressure and conditions. Make your car last longer and run more economically by giving it systematic Texaco lubrication and maintenance. The chances are your present car may be your last car for the duration. It's in good hands when you trust it to the care of your Texaco dealer. This week, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeffers, the rubber director, is asking all citizens to pick up nails and broken glass in the streets to save tires. We now bring you a man Mr. Jeffers can't save. He was born a flat tire, and here he is, Fred Allen.
Thank you. And you notice when I bend over, the difference between when I bend over and a Hollywood comedian, when I like that, the Hollywood comedian's hair comes off. You see here in the east. We have sterner men whose hair stays on. Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Say, Jimmy, that is an excellent idea, of Mr. Jeffers, asking people to pick up glass and nails off the streets like that.
Yes, Fred, if people will pick up nails in the street, there'll be fewer punctures, and motorists can conserve their tires.
Well, that's right, Jimmy. I read that the street department here in New York is experimenting with a big magnet. They have this magnet, and they drag it down the street, and the magnet picks up the loose metal.
Well, how's the magnet working out, Fred?
Well, it's a little too strong, Jimmy. The first time they dragged the magnet down Broadway, it yanked the badges off of 20 traffic cops. It dragged the Flatiron Building 2 blocks farther uptown. And when the magnet passed the stock exchange, it pulled U.S. Steel down 7 points. Yes, Jimmy, the thing is... Well, Portland. Have you heard about Mr. Jeffers asking people to pick up all of the metal and glass they see in the streets?
Yes, and the women of America should be thankful.
The women? Why the women?
With no nails or glass, it'll be safe for a woman to cross the street in open-toed shoes.
In open-toed shoes, eh? Well, you don't wear open-toed shoes, do you?
I used to, but dogs would blow their breath on my toes, and it tickles.
Dogs? Well, most women have stopped wearing the open-toed shoes, It's risky to show that much nylon these days. They have little dwarfs going around who are stealing the nylon toes out of it. But this conversation is silly, Portland. I think I'd better turn to the news.
What is your question tonight?
Well, during the past week, as you know, the newspaper delivery men went on strike, and for 3 days, the people here in New York City had no newspapers. And so our question tonight is, did going without a newspaper for 3 days bother you in any way?
Are you going to ask the people in Allen's Alley?
Yes, Portland. When you want to know how folks feel about an important issue, Allen's Alley is the place to go. Well, here we are back in Allen's Alley, Portland.
Do you think John Doe is in tonight?
Well, let's try this first door. This is John Doe's house. You'll find out.
Oh, it's you again. What's on your mind?
Well, it's the newspaper strike, Mr. Doe. Did going without a newspaper bother you in any way?
I was put out of business.
Really?
And 200 men were thrown into the army.
Well, why?
Well, I'm a bookmaker, see?
Yeah.
When no papers come out, the chumps couldn't pick no horses to bet with me. So I went out of business.
Well, what about the 200 men thrown into the army?
Oh, they was the chumps I was taking bets from.
Oh, you mean when you went out of business, the draft board grabbed these 200 horse players, huh?
Yeah, well, they was all claiming me as a dependent.
Oh, well, I hope the horse players overtake Rommel in the stretch and come in the money as we expect them to. I'll check at this next house here.
No.
Well, good evening, Mrs. Nussbaum.
To you it is good. To me it could be only so-so.
Well, tell me, did the newspaper delivery strike upset you?
Upset, it says. The pipes is freezing, the canary is turning blue, and all over I am getting geese pimples.
Well, how could this calamity result from the strike?
Every morning to start up a fire in the fireplace, I am needing a newspaper.
And with no newspaper?
I am not starting a fire. The house is freezing.
It was cold, huh?
Cold. My dog, a water spaniel, I am having to defrost.
Gosh.
Goldfish in the bowl is skidding on the ice doing belly whoppers. The shower bath I'm turning on?
Yeah?
Is coming off an icicle 4 feet long.
Well, tell me, what did you do about food?
At dinner, I'm putting woolen pencils on the lamb chop. When I'm pouring out the beer, it is making with a fur collar.
The beer had a fur collar on it, huh? Well, you had no heat in the house at all?
Only for 15 minutes every night the house is warm.
Well, how come?
I'm turning on the radio.
Well, how could a radio set warm up your house?
I am tuning in Gabriel Heater.
Well, that takes care of Mrs. Nussbaum. I wonder if Socrates Mulligan is in tonight. Not only in, he's all in. But tell me, Mr. Mulligan, did this newspaper business bother you?
Oh, for them 3 days the newspapers didn't come out, I almost went nuts.
Really?
Monday I'm nervous all day, I can't eat.
Uh-huh.
Tuesday I'm taking Benadryl all day. Yeah, Wednesday I got 120 fever. They got me in a straitjacket.
You were in this horrible physical and mental state because there was no news?
Not no news.
No?
No Superman.
Well, that brings us to the last shanty in Allen's Alley.
Hail and welcome, Baggy Eyes. Falstaff's ready to improvise.
I am not here to listen to your new poems, Mr. Openshaw.
A hoot for your intentions.
It's the old owl coming out in, you heard? Now,
Have you heard? The night was still, all was serene, as I sat there peeling my tangerine.
No.
Or, I knew it was malice, Alice, when you sent me that Vitalis.
No.
You'll have to launch the ship with Pepsi-Cola, Captain. My mother drank up the champagne.
You have insulted the integrity of every radio listener who has tuned into our program tonight. We have been talking about the newspaper strike.
Precisely why I opened my door. I have written a poem.
What is your newspaper poem called?
What newspaper? This is the Yuletide season. I have written a Christmas classic.
Oh, really? How does it go?
Greetings, merry gentlemen, from Tunisia to Nome. My Christmas present for you all is, tonight, I recite no poem.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we present our singing guest, the Metropolitan Opera's lovely star, Miss Reeser Stevens. Miss Stevens, I hope that coming here from the Met, you won't think our surroundings too sordid.
Not at all, Fred. It's a great pleasure to join you tonight.
Well, thank you. You know, when I asked you to come here, I must confess I had a selfish reason.
Really?
Yes, Christmas is 5 days away, Miss Stevens, but we thought that we might be early to establish a Yule atmosphere. Now, if you could lend an appropriate song to the occasion...
Oh, do you think Ave Maria from the opera Cavalleria Rusticana would do?
Well, I'm sure it will, Miss Stevens. Mr. Goodman, if you will. Stevens, that was delightful. And now, Jimmy Wallington.
Ladies and gentlemen, does your car believe in Santa Claus? Does your motor ever...
wait a minute, Jimmy. Cars believing in Santa Claus? Why, that's ridiculous. The next thing you'll be telling us that baby Austins hang up their inner tubes at Christmas time.
Well, maybe cars can't believe in Santa Claus, Fred, but they certainly show their appreciation when they're given a certain Christmas gift I have in mind.
A gift? Could I coax you to tell us what that gift is, Jimmy?
Coax me? You can't stop me.
Don't be too
Because
sure.
that gift, ladies and gentlemen, is something to make your car last longer and run more economically. It cuts down excessive wear, makes your engine start easier these cold mornings, saves your battery, and often helps save gasoline.
Well, I'm on tenterhooks, Jimmy. What is this gift?
Well, it's simply taking your car to your neighborhood Texaco dealer and getting it set for winter from stem to stern. The right winter grade of insulated Haviland motor oil in the engine. Winter Texaco gear lubricant. A complete Marfac chassis job, and skilled, thorough Texaco attention to spark plugs, battery, radiator, and other points where winter weather might cripple your essential transportation. You can rely on your Texaco dealer doing the job right with the right Texaco product.
That was just a short flurry of Winter Wonderland played by Al Goodman and his Makes You Want to Sit This One Out orchestra. And now Yes, Portland.
Mr. Allen, I hope you like the Christmas gift I got for you.
Oh, Portland, you should... A gift?
Yes, I was in Cartier's yesterday.
Cartier's? Why, Cartier's is the most exclusive jewelry shop on Fifth Avenue.
That's the place.
Well, I hope they gave you good service.
They sure did. Mr. Cartier himself told me how to get to Woolworth.
Oh, fine. You know, I did so much shopping at Woolworth's this Christmas, they're calling me Mr. 5x10 now. And I got a swell present for you in the fur department at Woolworth's. They have ferrets who wait on you there. And this ferret sold me a coat. It's a Russian sable.
You mean it's a genuine Russian sable?
Genuine Russian? Why, this sable still has a Nazi in its teeth. Tell me, what is your mother doing for Christmas?
Well, on account of the silk stocking shortage, Mama's hanging up her slacks over the fireplace.
Oh, fine. Swell.
Do you think Santa Claus will fill Mama's slacks?
Not like your mother does. Go away. You bother me. I have to make a special announcement.
About our guest?
No, tonight we're going to do our Christmas sketch, Portland.
What you do every Christmas?
That's right, and I have to make an announcement here. Ladies and gentlemen, since radio at this season each year prevails upon Lionel Barrymore to revive Dickens' Christmas Carol, the Texaco workshop players curtsy to tradition and wake up their cast to repeat a Christmas fable they first presented years ago. Now tonight, Santa shows his claws in a modern tale called Santa Claus Refuses to Mediate, or Jingle Bells Shall Not Ring Tonight. Overture, Maestro.
This is station NG. Good evening, friends. The makers of Jumballs, the giant mothballs guaranteed to trap nearsighted moths, brings you the exciting quiz program, Take It or We Will. We interrupt this exciting quiz program, Take It or We Will, to bring you a special announcement from the Assassinated News Service.
Special announcement. Santa Claus will not ride this Christmas. In a terse bulletin issued from his North Pole igloo today, Santa Claus says, quote, I am on a sit-down strike. I refuse to ride this Christmas, unquote. Rumors flood the country. A report from Miami, Florida says
200 families living in auto cabs stop building chimneys on their trailers. Do not expect Santa Claus.
At Rutland, Vermont, a little girl says
I wrote Santa Claus a letter and got no answer. He ain't coming.
At Detroit, Michigan, a labor official says
Santa Claus better ride, or the Teamsters Union will pull out every reindeer from here to Nome, Alaska.
At New York City, 200,000 children hold mass meeting. Tiny spokesman says
Santa Claus can't let us down. 200,000 American children have appointed me their spokesman. I'm off to see Santa Claus now. James, my scooter.
Well, come in, little boy. What are you doing way up here at the North Pole?
Brr. Is this Santa Claus's igloo?
Yes, Sonny, I'm Mrs. Claus. Who are you?
I'm Buddy Jones.
Are you lost, son?
No. I'm here to see why Santa Claus refuses to ride this year.
I'm glad you come, son. I've been arguing with the old sunfit all week, and he refuses to budge.
Where is Santa Claus now, Mrs. Claus?
He's in the next room there, sulking.
Can I see Santa?
Won't do you no good, son, but I'll get him for you. Hey, Santa.
Now, ain't no use in coaxing, Ma. I ain't a-going now.
Stupid, you got company.
Yeah, company who?
I'm Buddy Jones, Santa Claus.
Well, don't mean nothing to me, small fry.
Is this awful rumor true, Santa Claus?
Yep, I ain't riding, son.
But this is Christmas Eve, Santa. Trees are lighted. Millions of trusting children have hung up their stockings. The world is waiting for you.
Well, the world can wait. Now, I ain't a-riding.
But Santa...
Ain't no use, Nipper. He's stubborn.
Now, I ain't not neither stubborn, Ma Claus. I'm just sick of being Santa Claus. The world don't appreciate nothing. Squabbling, threatening, striking, warring.
But you just can't quit, Santa. You must have a reason.
I got plenty of reasons, Sprout.
As spokesman for 200,000 kitties, I demand a statement.
Well, what is it you want to know, Shaver?
Well, why won't you ride tonight, Santa Claus?
Well, son, I'll tell you. Sit down here on my lap. Son, I've been Santa Clausing it ever since the world began. For 1942 years, I've been bringing people presents every Christmas, trying to spread joy. My intentions has been good, but my reward has been nothing but heartaches and misery. The first trouble I had was way back in ancient Rome. It was Christmas Eve in the court of Nero. The emperor was playing a violin concerto.
You dare to give Nero the pheasant? We want the happiest courier.
Hey, your majesty is cornea.
What, cornea? You rebels, stop at my Texaco.
Your music will never get Rome hottier.
Get hottier. You dogs! Begone, hypocrites. Cornea! Nero can't get hottier, so swine. I'll show them. What tumbles out of my chimney?
Merry Christmas, Nero. Merry Christmas.
Who art thou, lumpkin, the chimney sweep?
I'm Santa Claus, Nero, bearing Christmas gifts for your majesty.
Ultimus nausea. What is it, another basket of figs from the Rome stage door canteen?
My gift is a trinket rare, Nero. So rare, it hasn't even been invented yet. Here.
Gramercy lout, what is this tiny golden box?
It's a cigarette lighter, Nero. Turn that little wheel.
Oh, blood.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Nero.
It flames. Rome has scoffed at Nero. Nero will have his revenge.
Hey, what's that lighter, Nero? You're setting fire to them draperies.
I can't make Rome hot with my music, huh? I'll make Rome hot another way. Revenge.
Look out, Nero. Fire, fire, fire. So you see, son, if it wasn't for Santa Claus, Rome wouldn't have burned.
Gosh, that was too bad, Santa.
See, there I was trying to spread good cheer, and what did I get? The first hot foot in history.
But that was 2,000 years ago, Santa Claus. You shouldn't hold a grudge that long.
Well, Nero was just prologue to my trouble, son. A few centuries later, I set out to bring a present to Napoleon and Josephine. I'll never forget that Christmas, son. Josephine was sitting on a chaise at Davenport. Napoleon opened the door.
Bonjour, ma petite.
Nephew.
Voilà. I am just on the way to Waterloo, especially to say au revoir.
Mon lover, mon nephew.
1 minute and your nephew is away. C'est la guerre.
Ah, nephew, I will be faithful.
Bien. If quelques man will dare to pay court to my Josephine, I will kill him. Touché.
But your petite Josephine has no other boyfriends, nephew. Je swear.
Bien, mon big beefy oiseau.
I have a farewell present for you, nephew. I will accept you. Will you see her?
Oh, bien. Mademoiselle, from any place found. Hey, who goes there? Who is coming to the fireplace?
Merry Christmas, Napoleon.
Sacre bleu. You've come to woo my Josephine. Gigolo.
Hold on. Put down that truncheon.
Voilà, cochon. Take this. And this. And this.
Oh, let me out. Help.
Bien.
La, your little Josephine returns, nephew.
With the mistletoe, you sly pretty girl.
Oui, I forgot it is Christmas Eve. What can be keeping Santa Claus?
Santa... Mon Dieu. You are expecting the chap in the red suit?
Oui, nephew. Do you think Santa Claus will come?
Not tonight, Josephine.
Yes, son, Napoleon gave me a concussion that Christmas. Running out of the castle, I fell into a moat, my ermine got wet and come to life. My collar and one cuff got away.
But you can't say that at the world, because years ago one crazy freshman mucked you up, Santa Claus.
Well, things has happened since, son. Another Christmas, I got a raw deal in a suburb of England. It was called the American Colony. I dropped in at the house of some jockey called Paul Revere. The cottage had no chimney, so I looked in at the window. Mrs. Revere was preparing a Christmas turkey. Paul come gimping into the room.
Christmas dinner ready, Effie?
Yes, Paul. Pull up a chair.
No. Set my plate on the mantelpiece.
Can't you sit down yet, Paul Revere? That ride was last April.
Through every Middlesex village and farm, ain't once around Central Park, have there?
Well, you ought to try and sit down for Christmas, Paul. It'd be a nice present for your spy.
Who's that?
Might be a British spy, Paul.
Hand me my gun, that's it. Who's there, Whig or Tory?
Merry Christmas, Paul Revere. It's me, Santa Claus.
So what?
I've got your Christmas present, Paul. It's a cushion stuffed with fuzz from Delaware peaches.
Gosh, for me to sit down?
You bet.
Don't let him in.
I ain't sat down for 8 months, Effie. It sounds mighty tempting.
It might be some enemy trick, Paul.
I'm Santa Claus, honest Injun, Mrs. Revere. Open up.
I got my gun, Effie. I'll open the door a crack.
I told you, Paul. Look at that suit.
A redcoat. Take this.
Whoa! You see, son, the world's given old Santa plenty of trouble.
Sure done you dirt, but nobody would dare abuse Santa Claus today.
Well, that's where you're wrong, son. Only last week I was previewing a visit in a place called New York. I was flying over some building. I think they call it Radio City. Well, I come down the air conditioning into some office. I was just going to wish the man a Merry Christmas when he yelled...
Well, what do you want, Whiskers?
Well, I'm Santa Claus.
We ain't auditioning today.
I ain't trying to get into radio. I'm a mythical character.
Being a friend of Duffy of Duffy's Tavern won't help you. Now, pick up that bag and feed it.
But you've heard of Santa Claus, ain't you?
Well, yeah, but you're a has-been, Santa Claus.
Has been?
Radio's doing everything you used to do and doing it better.
But I fly through the air.
So does radio.
I come down chimneys.
Radio comes down the antennas.
I give things away.
For how many box tops?
I give things away for nothing.
Well, so does radio.
Radio does, eh?
Dr. IQ gives away vitamins.
Yeah?
Take it or leave it gives away pencils.
Yeah?
Quiz Kid give away information. Truth or Consequences gives away soap.
Now, hold on, son. There's one thing I've been spreading for 1942 years that radio ain't giving away.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Santa Claus is giving goodwill.
Radio is giving away 60 minutes of that stuff on a program every week.
What program?
The Goodwill Hour.
Well, I was thrown out of Radio City. Folks don't need Santa Claus no more. Radio's giving them everything.
Gee, Santa, you certainly had a lot of trouble.
And that's why my spirit's broken, son. Being Santa Claus is just a pain in one century after the other. I'm giving the world back to Randon McNally. I'm through.
Please don't say that, Santa. Have pity on us kids. We'll have no toys.
Santa ain't a-moving, son. This is one Christmas I'm going to enjoy in peace. What's that clock striking?
It's 12 o'clock.
It's midnight, eh? Well...
It's Christmas Day, Santa Claus.
Don't mean nothing to me. I'm taking it easy. I'm sitting right here.
Won't you change your mind, Santa?
I ain't getting kicked around again this Christmas.
Please, Santa Claus. Please.
Oh, shucks. Hush your crying, son. Hey, Ma.
Yes, Santa?
Where's my mittens, my bag, my reindeer, my sleigh?
Santa, you ain't...
Yep, I'm a-going, Ma.
Honest, Santa Claus?
Yep, I've changed my mind, son.
Fancy, Santa.
Christmas ain't Christmas without Santa Claus. I'm giving the world one more chance.
Can I have a steak list for all the kitties, Santa?
You bet you can, Sonny. Just say, it's Merry Christmas. Hi-oh, Dunder. Hi-oh, Christmas. Well, that takes care of tonight's installment, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, our guest will be Dennis Day, star of the Mary Livingston program. Jimmy Wallington, with a word from Uncle Sam.
If you live where fuel oil is rationed, it's your duty to your family as well as the nation to make your allotment of fuel oil go farther. Fuel oil must be conserved.
Right you are, Jimmy. This is Fred Allen, ladies and gentlemen, and since this is our last show before Christmas, all of us here in the Texaco Star Theater and all of our Texaco dealers from coast to coast wish you a Merry Christmas. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Stay tuned to the station for Take It or Leave It with Phil Baker. Then at 10:30, listen to Columbia's Report to the Nation, which brings you highlights from news of the world presented in thrilling dramatic form. A special feature tonight will be an eyewitness report of the sinking of the transport liner President Coolidge, from which all but 4 out of 4,000 American troops on board were rescued. 10 p.m., BULOVA, Boulevard Watchtown. WABC, New York, 880 on your dial.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve. The Kraft Cheese Company will also bring you Bing Crosby every Thursday night. Present each week at this time Harold Perry as The Great Gildersleeve, written by John Whedon. We'll hear from The Great Gildersleeve in just a moment. Well, Christmas is still a few days away, but I imagine in most of your homes the festivities have already started for the youngsters. Yes, with the kids on vacation, there are probably plenty of parties and occasions when friends drop in. And that calls for a well-filled cookie jar. Yes, and a big bowl of popcorn now and then. So here's a tip. For cookies that fairly melt in your mouth, try making them with parquet margarine for the shortening. You see, besides being grand for table use as a spread for bread and seasoning for hot vegetables, parquet, when used as a shortening, adds delicate extra flavor to all baked foods. Try parquet melted over popcorn, too, and just watch the youngsters go for it. Best of all, these Christmas treats aren't expensive when you use economical parquet. So get your holiday supply of parquet margarine tomorrow and surprise the youngsters with the best holiday cookies and popcorn they ever tasted. Just ask your dealer for parquet, P-A-R-K-A-Y, parquet margarine made by Kraft. Now let's join our friend, the Great Gildersleeve. With December almost gone, he's been working like a beaver the past few days trying to get out the annual report of the Water Department. That's why we find him now in his office asleep at 9 o'clock in the morning with his head buried in the annual report and his arms sprawled across the blotter, while through his troubled dreams run thoughts of this happy holiday season.
They must get at that Christmas card list, Uncle Mort.
All right, Marjorie.
Model airplane. That's all I want for Christmas, a model airplane.
I know, Leroy, I know.
How about that annual report, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Right away, Miss Fitch.
How many for Christmas dinner, Mr. Gildersleeve? Can't order till I know how many.
Give me a chance, Bertie.
Just because I'm giving you a present, Throckmorton, I don't want you to think you have to give me a present.
Oh, Leela, I almost forgot.
Have you bought the tree?
Tree?
Have you bought the mistletoe?
Wait a minute.
Have you forgotten anybody?
Wait!
Mr. Gildersleeve,
what do you want?
we regret to inform you that federal regulations require payment for all charge purchases on or before the 10th of the month.
Oh, go away, all of you. Christmas, I hate it.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve. Oh, my goodness, what's happened? Mr. Gildersleeve. He's still warm.
Go away, go away.
Wake up.
Miss Fitch, let me see, where were we? Afraid I dozed a little there. Dear sir, read that back to me, will you?
Mr. Gildersleeve, it's morning.
Morning? Is there anything strange about that?
Only that you slept here all night.
I did? Oh, I must apologize, Miss Fitch. I'm afraid I need a shave. Oh, and the suit looks as if I'd slept in it. Oh, well, let's finish this report and get it over with, huh?
But you haven't even had breakfast.
Breakfast can wait, for once. Will you check these figures as I read them off?
Yes, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Thank you. Statement of financial status. Cash on hand, $386.52.
Check.
Accounts receivable, $2,873.38.
Check.
Interest, $139.10.
Check.
Marjorie, negligee and slippers. Leela Ransom, passion flower. There must be something wrong here.
I think there must.
Yes, I guess I must have got to thinking about something else during the night. Silly, wasn't it?
Yes.
Perhaps I should explain, Miss Fitch. I was thinking about my Christmas list.
So I assumed.
Yes. Perhaps I should explain further, Miss Fitch. Passion flower is the name of a perfume.
I know. I use it exclusively myself.
Oh, maybe I better give it a little more thought then. You know, Miss Fitch, I had the most awful dream last night.
I don't wonder.
Yes, I dreamed that I hadn't done a bit of Christmas shopping, which I haven't. But I also dreamed that it was the day before Christmas. I want to tell you I was frantic.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I don't want to spoil your dream, but it is the day before Christmas.
What? It can't be.
But it is.
What happened to all those other days? There's a whole week I've lost track of.
You've been working too hard. You've been going around here in a fog.
Oh, but I haven't bought a single present. I haven't had breakfast. Haven't even had a shave.
Oh, this is really going to be one of my bad days.
Come right in, Mr. Gildersleeve. You're next. No waiting.
Good morning, Floyd.
Gee, Mr. Gildersleeve, you look like the grapes of wrath.
Yes, I had a hard night last night, Floyd.
What happened? Did you run into some friends?
No. I worked all night at the office.
That's what they all say.
I told you, Floyd, I worked all night at the office.
Okay. You worked all night at the office.
I haven't had any breakfast either, so let's skip the conversation and make it a quick shave.
All right, Mr. Gildersleeve, if that's the way you want it, that's the way it'll be. This is one place where the customer is always right.
That's fine.
If a man comes in here and doesn't feel like talking, that's all right with me. I can take a hint.
Good.
One thing I know how to do is hold my tongue.
Good.
I'm not like some barbers. You go into their shop and they talk your ear off from the time you get into the chair to the time you get out of it.
Good.
I want people to feel they can come in here and just relax and not have to listen to a whole lot of stuff.
Fine.
Not that I haven't got my troubles like everybody else, but I keep them to myself.
Good.
Now, like last night, I came home after a long day, and my wife had dinner waiting for me, ham hocks and sauerkraut. So we had that and some apple pie, and after dinner I took off my shoes and turned on the radio. I was just getting comfortable, and my wife's sister calls up. And what do you think she wants? Come right over and play pinochle. Well, if you know my wife's sister. So I said to my wife, I said, nothing doing. I said, I'm all set here, I'm comfortable, and right here is where I'm staying.
Good.
I said, you couldn't move me out of here with a 10-ton truck. So we went over and played pinochle for a while, and then in comes... Oh, come in, Judge, come in. Just finishing up with Mr. Gildersleeve here.
He hasn't even started on me yet.
Why, I'll have you shaved in 2 shakes.
See that you don't, brother.
I thought I'd find you here, Gildersleeve.
How are you, Judge? What's on your mind?
I just dropped in to serve notice on you, Gildersleeve, that after your recent performance, I'm not giving you any remembrance this Christmas. And please do not embarrass me by giving me any. Good day.
Good day. Wait a minute. I don't know what you're talking about, Horace. I haven't seen you in a week. I've been very busy.
Yeah, I'll say you've been busy. Busy over at Mrs. Ransom's.
Judge, I haven't even had time.
Don't deny it. The minute I told you I'd bought a ring, you went scurrying over there to try to cut me out. Was that the act of a friend?
Well, Judge, the best laid plans of mice and men gang after glay. Yeah, that's Scotch. What's the matter? Did she turn you down?
Wouldn't you like to think so? Well, she didn't. She merely asked for time to consider.
It's the same thing. If she considers it, she won't do it. When is she giving you her answer, Judge?
As soon as she gets back from Savannah.
Savannah? Now, that'll show you how innocent I am, Judge. I didn't even know she was going to Savannah.
Now, don't try to give me that. You know as well as I do that she's going home to see her brother.
On my word, Judge, I told you I've been busy this week. I haven't seen anybody.
I don't know what your game is, Gildy, but this time it isn't going to work. I know all about Leela's plans, and I intend to be out at that airport today at 12 sharp to see her off.
So do I, Judge, and thanks for the tip. 12 o'clock at the airport, is it? Well, if it hadn't been for you, I might have missed saying goodbye to her. Yeah.
Gildersleeve, I've borne a lot from you, but this is the last straw. You now place me in the unpleasant position of having to ask you hereafter to do me the favor not to speak to me.
Oh, anything for a friend, Judge. You know that.
Floyd, Merry Christmas.
Bye, Judge. Same to you.
Floyd, get going. I got a lot of ground to cover between now and Christmas. I wonder if I'm in time. I wonder if she's left yet. Leela, have you left yet?
Well, of all people, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Leela, why didn't you tell me you were going away?
I didn't suppose you'd care whether I came or went after the way you treated me last Saturday.
I can explain that, Leela. You see?
Pray, don't bother. I'm hardly in the habit of having gentlemen run out on me without so much as a by your leave.
Leela, let's talk this over. Aren't you going to invite me in?
Well, if you're going to break my door down, I suppose I'll have to.
Thanks.
But I'm leaving right away. I've got all my bags packed, and I'm expecting a gentleman to call for me any minute.
I know. Hooker.
I'm not saying who it is, but he's more of a gentleman than you are.
Leela, about last Saturday, Bertie came back unexpectedly, and I had to go down to the station to meet her.
Did you ever come back?
But Leela...
Did I ever hear word from you all week?
But I haven't had a minute. I've had to get out the annual report of the water department. And if you know what that means...
I know what it means. It means you care more for your old waterworks than you do for me. All I can say is I'm glad I'm going away.
Oh, now, Leela.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Leela, don't be like that. Leela. Oh, help. Somebody help. Look, Leela, I bought you a present.
You brought me a what?
A present. A Christmas present. You see? It's got Santa Claus on it. You see, he's waving to you. Go on, wave to Leela, Santa.
Oh, Throckmorton, you're such a fool. And you didn't forget, did you?
Forget? How could I forget? After what happened the last time I saw you.
What happened, Throckmorton?
Don't you remember?
Certainly. I just wanted to see whether you remember.
By George, if there were any mistletoe around here, I'd show you whether I remember or not.
Do you have to have mistletoe? Oh, gracious. It must be time to leave.
Oh, Leela, don't go to Savannah. It's not patriotic to travel now.
Oh, but I have to, Throckmorton. My only brother Marvin is leaving for the Navy.
Oh.
Leela, we haven't got any time to lose.
Come in, George. Oh, you were so sweet to call for me, Judge.
Not at all, not at all. A pleasure.
My bag's already here, and I have a nice surprise for you. Throckmorton's coming to the airport with us.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's got his car. I'm afraid there won't be room in mine.
Tell the judge we wouldn't think of crowding him, Leela. You can come with me, and he can take the bags.
Oh, yeah? Well, you tell Gildersleeve for me.
Nonsense. Now, we can all ride in one car. We'll put the bags in back, and I'll ride in the front seat.
Leela, you either overestimate my seat or you underestimate Gildersleeve.
All right, let him take the bags up front with him. You and I'll ride in back, Leela.
Oh, no.
Now, we're going to be late. Who's going to carry out my bag?
I've got him.
Yeah, not. I got this one first. Now, let go.
Boys! No fighting now, you hear?
Good idea.
Throckmorton gets to carry the suitcase and the hat box, and Horace gets the overnight case.
Oh, Throckmorton gets everything.
Say, don't forget your present, Leela.
Oh, gracious, Throckmorton's present. Pick it up when you come, will you, George?
This thing?
Be careful of that, Hooker.
Come on. The plane leaves in half an hour.
Flight 37 to Savannah. All passengers aboard, please.
That's you, Leela. That's your plane.
Oh, my goodness, I'm so excited. You know, I've never been in a flying machine before in my life.
I've got a good notion to come with you, Leela.
Oh, I wish you could.
Yeah, I think I'll stow away on the plane.
I'll bet you would, too, Throckmorton.
That blimp? There isn't room to stow him away on the B-19.
No, look here, Hooker.
Boys. This is Christmas Eve. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men.
Well, he started it.
I don't care who started it. I want you both to promise me one thing before I go.
What's that?
Promise me you'll both be friends while I'm gone. Come on now, shake hands. Shake hands, Throckmorton. Come on.
Well, all right.
That's better. Now you write to me every day, you hear?
I will, Leela.
I'll write twice a day.
So will I.
No, you won't.
I will, too.
Now. You're so impulsive, you boys. I want you to do me another favor.
Anything you say, Leela.
I want you both to spend Christmas together, just thinking about me.
Mrs. Ransom?
Yes?
They're holding the plane for you.
For me? Oh, how nice. I'll be right along. Oh, my. Handsome in his uniform and all. I wonder if he's going, too.
Goodbye, Leela.
Oh, goodbye, Throckmorton.
I'll be waiting for your answer, Leela.
My answer? Oh, yes. Now, remember, you two, you're going to be good friends, and don't you dare open your present till Christmas, you hear?
Mrs. Ransom, the plane is waiting.
Oh, my goodness. I'm in such demand here, I hardly know what I'm doing.
Just come with me, please.
With you? Oh, you know, Captain, this is my first trip on a flying machine.
Captain, I'll bet he's not even a sergeant.
Have a pleasant trip, Leela.
Yes, she will.
Well, there she goes.
Yeah, she'll soon be 5,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, dearie me. Now, isn't that too bad?
What?
Something I forgot to give her.
Huh?
Your Christmas present for Leela. I'm still carrying.
The Great Gildersleeve will be with us again in just a few seconds. You know, nowadays, it's really a homemaker's duty to see that her family gets the right kind of foods. Yes, and it's just as much her duty to keep her food budget in line. Well, there's one important food that helps you do both these jobs. And that food is economical Parquet margarine, the delicious, nutritious spread for bread made by Kraft. Parquet margarine is one of the kinds of foods that our government recommends for good nutrition. That's because it's so wholesome and nourishing. Actually, Parquet is one of the best energy foods you can serve. What's more, every pound of Parquet margarine contains 9,000 units of vitamin A, making it a really dependable source of this important vitamin the year round. Economical Parquet, you know, is widely known as the margarine that tastes so deliciously good. So why not start serving it to your family tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow, sure. Ask your food dealer for Parquet, P-A-R-K-A-Y. Parquet, the delicious vegetable margarine made by Kraft. Now let's see what's happened to the Great Gildersleeve. After a frantic 3-hour battle in Hogan Brothers department store, he bursts out of the store with his arms full of bundles and his hat over his ear.
Christmas. There ought to be a law against Christmas.
Oh, there, Gildersleeve. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dr. Pettibone. If you see anything the matter with me, please keep it to yourself till after the holidays.
But you're looking fine, old man. I was going to remark on it.
Oh, do you think so?
Never saw you looking better. Maybe those old arteries are beginning to soften for a change.
Pettibone, I'm in no mood for the humor of the dissection room.
Oh, come, Gildersleeve. A cheery smile will do more for your digestion than all the Epsom salts in the world. Come on, Gildersleeve. Let me hear you say ha-ha.
Ha-ha.
Oh. You can do better than that. Come on. Ha-ha-ha-ha. That's better. That's enough now. That's fine. Just keep smiling, and your gastric juices will thank you.
My goodness. Let me see now. I got a present for everybody except Judge Hooker. That's fine. Well, by George, it's beginning to feel like Christmas. Yes. Hooker. Da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. Well, I wonder if I should break down and get Hooker a present. After what he pulled on me this afternoon, I know, but maybe he really did forget to give Leela that package. After all, this is Christmas. No time to bear a grudge. He isn't going to give me a present, though. I heard him say so. Yeah, but you can't trust him, Gildersleeve. He's just sneaky enough to go and do it. I could give him a little present, not a very good one. I could stop in here and get him something kind of cheap at the drugstore. I think I will.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas just like you are. Oh, hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Hello, Phoebe. I didn't know that you were musically inclined, Phoebe.
Well, no, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I do find myself humming a tune occasionally when I'm alone here in the shop.
Oh, you know what they say. It's music makes the world go round. Or is it love?
Did you ever listen to this fellow Crosby, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Crosby? Oh, yes.
Quite a singer.
One of the best. As a matter of fact, I've been compared to him once. Well, I was.
Usually I like to listen to him on Thursday night. So does Mrs. Peavy.
Oh, Mrs. Peavy's a music lover, too, huh?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm giving her for Christmas is an album of records. Selections by John Philip Sousa.
Yes.
He happened to be playing at the Steel Pier when we were on our honeymoon.
Oh. Well, between Crosby and Sousa, you can't go wrong. Hey, maybe you can help me out, Peavy. I came here to find a Christmas present.
Oh, something for a friend?
Well, I don't know that he's a friend, but I got to get him something.
Well, I dare say we can find something suitable, Mr. Gildersleeve. Now, let's see.
It doesn't have to be too suitable.
Well, what sort of thing does your friend like?
He doesn't even have to like it. It just has to be a present.
Well, that makes it rather difficult. If you could give me some idea.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm buying it for Judge Hooker.
Judge Hooker? Well, it's a small world, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, is it, Peavy?
Would you believe it? Judge Hooker was in here not over an hour ago selecting a present for you.
Oh, so this is the kind of place he comes to buy me presents, is it?
I think you have a pleasant surprise in store for you, Mr. Gildersleeve. This gift is not the sort of thing you'd expect to find in a drugstore.
I'd like to know anything you wouldn't expect to find in a drugstore. Tell me, Peavy, what did he buy me?
Oh, well, no, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. Professional ethics, you know.
But I want to know how good a present to buy him. At least you can tell me how much it cost.
No, but I believe I can say without betraying any confidence that it was under $5.
Good. Good. Now we're getting someplace. What have you got for an old goat that costs less than $5?
Well, I've got a special on a fountain pen set here.
Huh?
You see, it says double-barreled, self-filling, iridium point, streamlined blue-side case, special patented clip, indestructible, guaranteed to last to eternity.
Is it any good?
It's all right. You can't expect everything for $3.98.
Yes. You say it's guaranteed to last till eternity. Well, how long is that? 10 years?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
5 years?
If you don't drop it. Of course, if you don't care for the fountain pen, I have other things. I have an 8-day clock here, but the thing about that is...
I know. You have to wind it too often. Now, I'll take the fountain pen. May not last forever, but neither will Hooker.
I suppose you'd like it wrapped as a gift.
Wrapped as a gift? What does that mean?
Take the price tag off.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Does this pen cost more than the present the judge is giving me, or less?
Well, the pen is slightly more expensive.
Then leave the tag on it. I'll just take it as it is. Charge that, will you, Peavy? Hogan Brothers got all my money.
Well, glad to, Mr. Gildersleeve. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Peavy, and the same to Mrs. Peavy. You know, Leroy, maybe it's this green bulb that's making the trouble.
It do look a little tired.
Why don't you unscrew the bulb and stick the screwdriver in there?
Oh, never do that, my boy. You could blow out every fuse in the house. Besides, you can get a nasty shock that way.
Well, that's what the electrician did when he fixed the lights last year. I saw him.
Well, those electrician fellows are immune to electricity. Let me have that other bulb there, will you, Bertie?
Yes, sir. You know, Mr. Gildersleeve, when my vacuum cleaner starts acting up, I got a sure cure for it.
Well, a vacuum cleaner is not like a light circuit, Bertie.
Well, maybe not. But to me, all them electrical things is about the same. Goes in there and comes out here, and you better stay out of the way.
Well, the trouble here doesn't appear to be the green bulb. What is your cure, Bertie?
Well, sir, I pull the plug out, and I turn it around, and I shake the bag 3 times and put the plug back. It ain't never failed yet.
Well, we've tried everything else.
Yes, I can remember when we didn't bother with these electrical gadgets on Christmas trees. We just used candles. Set the house on fire every year, but it was a lot simpler. Go ahead and let's try your system, Bertie.
All right. Stand back, Leroy. Now, pull the plug, turn it around, shake the cord. 1, 2, 3. Put the plug back.
Well, I'll be. Bertie, you're a genius. Marjorie, come on in and see the beautiful tree.
Oh, it's beautiful. Let's turn off all the other lights and see how it looks.
Hey, that's super.
Oh, it's lovely. Isn't it, Uncle Mort?
Yes, it is. It's lovely.
That's the prettiest tree I ever saw in my life. Reminds me of the World's Fair.
Well, it's not as big a tree as we've had other years, but when you think of all the people who aren't going to have any Christmas tree at all this year.
You know what gets me? Every year, Uncle Mort says, well, don't expect much this year, kids. We're going to have to cut down and just have a very small Christmas.
I know.
And every year seems like there's more presents than ever.
Oh, Uncle Mort, you've been so good to us. You've been like Santa Claus and Daddy and our favorite uncle, all rolled into one.
Yeah, you're a swell, Unc.
No.
I made some of them Christmas cookies special for you, Mr. Gildersleeve. Shall I bring them in?
Well, I can't think of a better time for Christmas cookies than right now, Bertie.
I'll go get them.
Yeah, cookies. I think I'm going to like this Christmas.
Hey, Unc, can we open just one present, can we, huh?
Well, don't you think you ought to wait till Christmas, my boy?
Oh, but you always let us open just one. I'll pick a little one.
Well, all right then. Just a little one.
Come on, Marge. You pick one of yours and I'll pick one of mine.
Now, let's see what you got first.
Gee, thanks, Unc. A war bond. Just what I needed.
Not what you needed, maybe, but what the country needed. I know it may be something of a disappointment to you.
No, I think it's swell. I don't care if I didn't get a Model P-47 with a motor in it.
Well, it may mean that somebody else will get a real P-47 with a real motor in it. You have to think of that, my boy.
Yeah, I just wish I was the fellow who's going to fly it, that's all. Open yours, Marge. Let's see what you got.
I think I know. Is it, Uncle Mort?
Well, you open it and see.
You remembered.
What you got there, Miss Marjorie?
Every year he gives me one. Listen. Oh, it's a darling one. I love music boxes, and I love Christmas. Merry Christmas, Uncle Mort.
Merry Christmas, my dear. Who's that?
I'll go. Maybe it's Santa Claus. Well, for goodness sake, come in, Judge.
Good evening, Bertie. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Judge.
Hello, Leroy.
Hi.
Hello, Marjorie.
Merry Christmas, Judge.
Would you be good enough to ask your uncle, Marjorie, whether he's in?
Ask the judge whether he's blind.
Oh, so that's your attitude. Well, you may recall, Throckmorton, that we gave a certain lady our promise that during her absence we would be friends.
Yes, I recall it vaguely.
Well, I, for one, am a man of my word. It's customary for friends to exchange tokens this holiday season. For that reason, and for no other, I have brought you a slight gift. Here.
Oh. Well, now that you mention it, I have one for you. There.
Throckmorton. You old son of a gun.
Yeah. Horace, you old goat, you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. By George, now it is a Merry Christmas.
Throckmorton, what do you say we open each other's presents, huh?
Okay, let's do it.
I just can't wait. Oh. That everlasting fountain pen.
Ooh, that 8-day clock.
Throckmorton, I think Brother Peavy unloaded something on us.
Well, now, I wouldn't say that. On behalf of the Kraft Cheese Company and the cast of our program, I'd like to wish all of our listeners a very Merry Christmas and the happiest possible New Year. There are many of us for whom it'll be difficult to be merry this Christmas, with loved ones far away and families divided. But let's try to keep up the Christmas tradition for the sake of the men who are fighting to preserve it. And to those men also fighting in foxholes and slit trenches, on the sea and in the air, north, east, south, and west, we also send our Christmas good wishes. God bless you all. Good night, everybody.
Original music heard on this program was composed and conducted by Billy Mills. This is Ken Carpenter speaking to the makers of Kraft Cheese and inviting you to tune in again next week for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
You lovers of macaroni and cheese will get a thrill out of the new-fashioned way of making this grand dish with Kraft Dinner. A package of Kraft Dinner contains special macaroni which cooks up fluffy and tender in just 7 minutes. And the Kraft Dinner package also contains some Kraft Grated, which supplies the grand cheese flavor. You just boil the Kraft Dinner macaroni for 7 minutes, drain it, and stir in the Kraft Grated. Your macaroni and cheese is ready to serve. Now, because Kraft Dinner is so simple to make, so good and so economical, it has become tremendously popular throughout the country. So popular, in fact, that sometime a dealer's supply is exhausted by the end of the week. You can help your dealer and yourself, too, by ordering Kraft Dinner early in the week. Then you'll have it on the pantry shelf ready for grand macaroni and cheese you cook in 7 minutes. This program reached you from Hollywood. This is the National Broadcasting Company. The Great Nut Flake program, coming to you from Fort Devon near Boston, Massachusetts, and starring Jack Benton, Dennis A. Rochester, yours truly, Don Wilson, and our guest conductor, Abe Lyman. Next was Shots of Texas, played by the orchestra. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Fort Devon near the historic city of Boston, Massachusetts, we bring you that leftover bag from the Boston Tea Party, Jack Benny.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hello again. This is Jack Benny talking. And, Don, that was a very clever introduction. A leftover bag from the Boston Tea Party. You sure like to rib your old boss, eh, Dante?
Yes, Jack, because I realize that you have a grand sense of humor.
I see. Well, Don, remember last Christmas when I gave you that nice fat check?
I certainly do, Jack.
Well, this year you'll be lucky if I have your girdle repleted. Anyway, Don, here we are at Fort Devon, and I'm glad so many soldiers could get in here for our show tonight. You know, it shows you how popular I... Come in.
Mr. Benny?
Yes?
On behalf of the boys in the guardhouse, I want to welcome you to Fort Devon.
Thanks. By the way, where is the guardhouse?
Right here. You're our punishment for today.
I should have known this was the guardhouse. When I came in, the sentry handed me a paring knife, a sack of potatoes, and said, "Don't quit till you see the whites of their eyes." Anyway, I'm having fun. Oh, hello, Mary.
Hello, Jack. Gosh, isn't it cold up here in Massachusetts?
Yes, Mary, it's pretty near close to zero. But, of course, I don't feel it. I'm the rugged type, you know. I can take it.
Well, don't blow your nose. It might fall off.
It is a little blue, isn't it? But after living in a warm place like California, my blood is pretty thin, you know.
What blood?
I've got plenty. Didn't I go to the Red Cross blood bank last week?
Yeah, and you were sure sore when they wouldn't give you any.
I was not.
Oh, say, Mary, thanks for that Christmas present you sent me. I'm just trying to open it and see what's inside.
Oh, I didn't open mine either, Mary. What did you get me this year?
Well, remember that gold wristwatch you saw on Tiffany's window, the one you were so nuts about?
Yes.
Well, I got you a box of nuts.
I'm glad you told me that, Mary, because now I'm going to return that beautiful evening gown I bought for you.
Oh, you could never find that push again in a million years.
I can try, sister.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Oh, hello, Dennis. Come on over here.
Is it all right if I finish these potatoes later?
Well, why not? We've already peeled enough for supper, I think. We were just talking about Christmas, Dennis. What did you get for your old Uncle Jackie?
I didn't get anything.
Yes, of course. Listen, kid, I don't want to hint, but I saw a beautiful gold wristwatch in Tiffany's window that I admired very much. You can get it for $75.
$75 for a Christmas present?
Yes.
Gee, that's a lot of money. It'd be different if you were my girl.
That's my girl. Get it right. Now, if you're smart, Dennis, and I think you are, you'll buy me that watch. And now, folks...
All of a sudden, I'm smart.
Just remember what I said, that's all. Now, Dennis, are you ready for your song?
Yes, sir.
Good. And now, ladies and gentlemen, by special request, Dennis Day will sing White Christmas, accompanied by Abe Lyman and his sensational Orchestra. Go ahead, kid.
Wait a minute, Benny. What do you mean by that question mark stuff?
Oh, pardon me, Abe. Fellas, I'd like you to meet our guest conductor this week, Abe Lyman. Well, you got a nice hand there, Abe.
Never mind that. Holding my orchestra.
Well, it's only a joke. I always kid Phil Harris and his boys.
Well, we don't happen to be like her. Aggravation of musicians.
Aggravation? What's the matter with me? Can't I get one orchestra leader who can pronounce words with over one syllable?
Why should I talk good?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Abe. You're making a lot more money now than when you used to drive that taxi cab around Chicago.
No kidding, Abe. Did you start out as a cab driver?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how'd you happen to become a band leader?
Oh, the click, click, click of that meter gave me the sense of rhythm.
You killed the rhythm of that sentence, you know. The click of the meter, eh?
That gave Jack a nervous breakdown once.
It did not. Anyway, Abe, I'm really glad to have you on my program. And
shake on it.
Well, I can throw that hand away. What a grip he's got.
Say, Mr. Benny, I don't think I ever met Mr. Lyman.
Oh, pardon me. Abe, this is Dennis Day.
Hi, kid. Hello, Mr. Lyman. It's sure nice to meet a man that can put Guess Who in his place.
Now, just Dennis, who are you referring to as Guess Who? Well, just don't try being subtle. Now, go ahead with your story.
Oh, pardon me, Jack. Before Dennis sings, I'd like to have you meet Miss Olivia Ross. She's a student nurse in Boston, and she has a message for the young women of America.
Well, I'm always glad to do what I can for the young women of America. I mean, welcome to the program, Miss Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, nursing is one of the critical woman power shortages of the war and must be quickly made up to safeguard the health of the men in the armed forces and our civilians as well.
Shortages, right?
I'm glad I got a ration book, by golly.
That's not for nurses. Go ahead, Miss Ross.
19,000 new student nurses are desperately needed. Any young woman who is a high school graduate in good health and between the ages of 18 and 35 can become a student nurse.
18 to 35. Gee, it's hard to remember when I was 18 years old.
It's hard to remember when you were 35, too.
Now, wait a minute. Listen, Mary. It isn't so long ago that I blew out 35 candles on my birthday cake.
Yeah, but think of all those you missed.
Never mind. Oh, pardon me, Miss Ross. Go ahead, will you?
Young women who are into work should write to Student Nurses, Box 88, New York City.
Box 88, New York City, eh?
Yes, that's right. In Canada, girls should apply to the nearest hospital. And remember, no qualified student should be barred from entrance to a school of nursing because of a lack of funds.
Well, that's grand, Ross. Oh, by the way, as long as you're here, you're a nurse, Billy, I've had a slight cold. Would you mind taking my pulse?
Why, no, Mr. Benny. I'd be glad to. Let me have your wrist.
Here it is. Well, what about my pulse?
I'm sorry, I just don't seem to find any.
Well, I should say... Yeah, thanks. Anyway, Miss Ross, sing, Dennis. I used to have a pulse. White Christmas, sung by Dennis Day. Now, Don, you and Abe will have to carry on with the rest of the program. I have to run along with Mr. Tucker, the man with the sleigh, is waiting outside.
What do you mean, the man with the sleigh?
Oh, didn't I tell you? Oh. You see, Don, one for a little trip to Pittsburgh. I found out there's a house in Washington who spent the night.
I don't get it.
Well, it's very simple, Mary. I just finished a picture with Ann Sheridan called George Washington Slept Here. There's a house near Pittsburgh that George Washington slept in, and that's where I'm going to spend the night.
Oh, fine. I suppose if you'd been in The Man Who Came to Dinner, you'd want to sleep in a veal cutlet.
Forget your coat, Mary. You and Dennis are coming with me. So long, Don. See you later, Abe. Boy, isn't this a thrill to be riding in a sleigh? Come on, kids, let's sing. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Rochester. Boy, it's cold. What's the temperature, Mr. Tucker?
Well, it's about 4 below zero.
Below zero? Rochester, put that jug down. Now put away that Applejack.
We've been riding for an hour. How long before we get there?
How far is the old Peabody place, Mr. Tucker?
Just a piece up the road here.
Good. Dennis, will you stop that wiggling?
No, not wiggling. I'm cold.
Well, pull the robe around you. Can't you hurry a little, Mr. Tucker?
I wouldn't be in a hurry to get to that Peabody place if I were you. Everybody says it's horrid.
Rochester! Put that down! In a hurry, then.
There's the old Peabody place up ahead. He is spooky looking.
Yeah. Say, the caretaker must be in. There's a light flickering in the upstairs window.
Here we are. Oh, Peter. Take it easy, girl.
Peter. It's a fine name for a horse.
Named after my wife.
Carry my gifts, Rochester. Come on, Mary. Dennis, let's go inside.
Oh, no, I'm going back to town.
But, Mary, this is the house George Washington slept in. Look at that old stone chimney and those gables on the roof.
I wouldn't care if Clark was hanging out of them. I wouldn't go in.
What about you, Dennis? You want to spend the night here?
No, thank you.
Well, that's 3 of us. So long, boy. You're staying here with me. Tucker, take Miss Livingston and Mr. Day back to town.
Okay.
So long, Mary.
So long, Jack.
Goodbye, Dennis.
Oh, the heck with it.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, Peter.
Boy, that night is sure chilly. Sure is. Let's not stand out here all alone in the dark. Let's go in. Yeah. Knock on the door, Rochester. I'm holding the jug. Okay. I'll knock, you scaredy cat. Nobody home, let's go. Come back here. Hey, look through the window. There's a down the hall. It's an old man.
Who's there? What do you want?
Oh, pardon me. Are you Mr. Stubbs, the caretaker?
Maybe I am, maybe I ain't.
Well, I'm Jack Benny, and I wrote you about spending the night here. Did you get my letter?
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
Well, do you mind if we come in and look around? I'm very anxious to see. Good heavens, what's that?
I didn't hear nothing.
Nothing? Gee. Well, what are you waiting for, Rochester? Come on in. Come on inside. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. You come in here.
You know, mister, I don't take in boarders as a rule.
Oh, I'm prepared to pay for it, Mr. Tucker. Now, if you'll please tell me which room George Washington slept in, I'd like to go to bed.
You can't miss it. It's the big one at the top of the stairs.
Thank you. Now, if you'll just show me... Gee.
There's that nothing again.
I don't like this. Well, what are you waiting for, Rochester? Take my suitcase upstairs, light the candles, and turn down the bed.
You want me to go upstairs alone?
Of course. Nothing's going to hurt you.
Boss, nothing around here is something.
You be ready. Stubbs, how much will it cost me to spend the night here?
Would 50 cents be too much?
Well, does that include breakfast?
Yep, bacon, eggs, hot cakes, and coffee.
Okay, it's a deal. Well, I might as well go upstairs now. Oh, Rochester!
Yes, boss!
How does the room look?
I'm right here behind you!
You get upstairs. Mr. Stubbs and I will be up in a minute.
As long as we're all going up, let's make it a convoy.
All right. Lead the way, Mr. Stubbs. Gee, I'm excited.
Here's the room right here.
Stubbs.
Good night.
Well, here we are, boss.
Yeah. Let me have that candle, Rochester. Wow, this is a big room.
Wow, this is a big room.
That echo again. I'm Jack Benny.
I'm Jack Benny.
I'm going to spend the night here.
I wouldn't stay here for $1 million.
What does he mean? Gee, look. Look at that old four-poster bed. Well, I might as well turn in. Just think, Rochester. George Washington slept in this house. Right here in this very room. Gosh, if this bed could only talk.
If that bed says one word, I'll bounce you off.
That was just a figure of speech. Well, I guess I'll get in bed. Oh, say, Rochester, open the window, will you?
Yes, sir. Oh!
Darn those shut. Rochester, reach out and close them.
Let whoever is out there reach in and close them.
There's nobody out there. Well, good night, Rochester. We're going to sleep alone? Yes, alone.
Good night, boy.
Gosh, I'm tired. Just think. I'm sleeping in the same bed George Washington slept in during the Revolutionary War. Gee, it doesn't seem possible. Sure was a thrill riding in that plane. I haven't done that since I was a kid. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
so we'll just stand here for the night.
Yes, General Washington. General Washington?
Which room is mine, Mr. Stubbs?
It's that big one at the head of the stairs.
Thank you, sir. Here's your 25 cents.
25 cents? I'm paying 60. Maybe he isn't going to eat breakfast. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, hello there. Well, this room seems to be occupied.
Oh, pardon me, General Washington. I'm Benny, Jack Benny.
Oh, yes. Well, we've enjoyed your program so much during these long, cold nights at Valley Forge.
Gee, thank you, General.
I'm getting tired. Would you please move over, Mr. Benny?
Of course. It's a large bed. Climb in, General.
Just a moment. Do you mind if I hang my wig right here next to yours?
No. Go right ahead. See, I got to get one of those white ones with curls. See, that's a beaut. You mind if I try it on?
You mind if I try it on?
You get out of this bed. Get out.
What? Cold.
Darn echo. Well, hop in bed, General.
Thank you.
You'll snore a little bit, but I'll try and... Whoo! That's cold. Pardon me, General. You forgot to take your sword off.
So I did. I'm always forgetting that. Oh, good night, Mr. Benny.
Good night, General. Just think. I'm sleeping in the same bed. Who are you?
I want to be a student nurse. I'm between the ages of 18 and 35.
The White Box 88, New York City. They meet you. Are you quite comfortable, General Washington?
Maybe I am, maybe I ain't.
Just a minute. You're not George Washington. General, where are you?
I'm having breakfast, Mr. Benny. It's time for those toasty brown squeezes in that greatness plate.
What?
They come in the big 12-ounce economy size package.
You're John Wilson. Where's General Washington?
I'm over here getting dressed, Mr. Benny.
Already?
Yes, I must leave now. I've got to toast to Delaware.
Oh, yes. Yes, I saw it on the calendar I got from the If You Live, We're Hooked insurance company. It's a beautiful painting. Well, goodbye, General, and good luck.
Thank you. Forward.
He's a nice fella. I never expected to bump into... Well, I'll be darned, he took the wrong wig. Oh, General! Oh, General Washington! General, come back! You got my wig!
About greatness place.
And good luck.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, 1943 being just around...
Here's Troman Harper, the rumor detective, with the truth about rumors, presented by Grove's bromoquinine cold tablets. Cold sufferers, listen. Scientific studies by a reputable laboratory demonstrate that in most cases the pain-relieving effect of Grove's bromoquinine cold tablets begins 5 to 10 minutes after taking. Here's amazing, prompt, decisive relief. If you're suffering with the miserable common symptoms of a cold, fever, aches and pains, nasal stuffiness, take bromoquinine cold tablets exactly as directed and rest. Avoid exposure. Ask your druggist today for Groves, Grove's bromoquinine, or just say Grove's cold tablets. Now, Troman Harper.
Good evening. There are a lot of phony yarns floating around this country. Toy balloons that are batted back and forth by people who never stop to see what's inside them. I'll tell you what's inside them. Hot air. Tonight, I'm going to take some of these balloons, these phony rumors, and punch them full of holes. Rumors are like barbershop tips on a horse race. No good. If you believe rumors, you're a sucker. If you repeat rumors, you're one of Hitler's best soldiers. Learn the truth about rumors. The truth is a bayonet. With it, you can jab and slice a rumor to ribbon. Here's how it's done.
I was in the cigar store the other day. I heard a fellow telling the man behind the counter, the soldiers in our army are being fed alfalfa for vegetables. Is this true?
It is not. It's pure malarkey. No one eats better than an American doughboy. He's the best-fed man on earth. Whether your boy is in Alaskan barracks or a North African pup tent, he still gets nothing but the best food. And he can have all he wants. Christmas will be here next Friday. All over the world, American soldiers will be sitting down to their Christmas dinner. The best chow we can send them. You want to know what that meal will be like? Well, I'll tell you. To start with, the doughboys will have fresh fruit cup, followed by cream of celery soup. Then the cooks will stagger out with turkey, roasted golden brown turkey. And on the side, there'll be dressing and giblet gravy, cranberry and orange relish, celery, olives, mixed pickles, radishes, snowflake potatoes, green beans, tomatoes, corn, pudding, hearts of lettuce salad, hot rolls and butter, mince pie, pumpkin pie, ice cream, spice cakes, grapes, oranges, apples, nuts, mints, and hard candy and coffee. Alfalfa? Horse feathers. I'll eat a bale of sawdust for every alfalfa leaf any American soldier finds on his plate, anytime, any place, anywhere.
Here's another story. A friend of mine upstate says Winston Churchill is one of the biggest stockholders in I.G. Farben Industries. That's why the British haven't bombed I.G. Farben plant.
First it was Asquith, next it was Lloyd George, and then it was Chamberlain, and now it's Churchill. In 1939, the rumor mongers said Chamberlain owned shares in the Krupp Works. When Chamberlain died, they transferred the stock to Churchill. But after the RAF 1,000 bomber raids on Essen, home of the Krupp firm, the rumor mongers transferred Churchill's holdings to I.G. Farben Industries. After all, the Prime Minister was going to own stock in foreign corporations. He ought to own plants that weren't smashed to bits. I.G. Farben hadn't been hit yet. But now it has. The RAF has dropped 2,000 or 3,000 tons of bombs on the I.G. Farben plant, all 8 of them. First they concentrated on Ludwigshafen, where the main I.G. Farben plant is. They hit it 19 times. Next they blasted Halberstadt and Haida. The Dessau plant caught 4 raids, Bitterfeld 3 and Leverkusen 4. Then the RAF settled down to serious business. They bombed the Frankfurt plant 35 times and the one at Dortmund 39. After 106 raids, I.G. Farben's 8 plants are somewhat punch-drunk. As early as 1933, Churchill warned England he would fight Germany someday. No man who expected war with Germany would drop his money in a military objective, of all things. You don't invest in foreign securities unless you think your country's doomed. Churchill knows England will live. But Hermann Goering, the fattest of all the fat Nazis, well, that's another story, and I'll tell it to you. Goering is in this war to make money, and he's made it. He's made over $10 million. But he doesn't think Germany is going to win this war. At least he's not betting his money on dear Fuhrer's chances. Shortly after this war started, when Hitler was saying, and some folks believed, this war would be over in 3 months, Hermann Goering said Heil Hitler and sneaked his money out of Germany. It was German money, but the fact remained he had it, and he was aiming to keep it in a safe place. First he went to his friends Jauch and Heubner, brokers. Their address is 28 Budapester Strasse, Berlin, West 62. There he told the boys to buy him insurance policies in Switzerland, Holland, Sweden, and America to the tune of $4 million. Next he got chummy with Edward Berkel, who posed as a traveling salesman. He gave Berkel $750,000. Berkel came to the United States and bought bonds in American railroad, oil, and steel companies. The Sumitomo Bank, a Jap outfit in San Francisco, invested $600,000 in the Montecatini and Royal Dutch companies for cautious Herman. Next, Fatso flew to Hamburg and told Heinz Scheuter to put $1,250,000 in currency in the Sao Paulo Safe Deposit Bank No. 1 in Brazil. Feeling quite happy with his fat self, he sat back believing he could weather any old storm that came along. But he made a slight error of judgment. Adolf, his dear Fuhrer, had said the Americans would never fight. But Adolf, dear Fuhrer, was wrong. Again. Both America and Brazil went to war against Germany. So now all the money Goering smuggled into the United States is ours. We're using it to buy tanks and guns and planes. It will blow Papa Herman to kingdom come.
Coals, coals, coals. Robbers of energy, saboteurs of war production time. Take action the moment you have the distressing symptoms of a cold. Get Grove's bromoquinine cold tablet, often called Grove's cold tablet, and get relief. Scientific studies by a reputable laboratory demonstrate that in most cases the pain-relieving effect of Grove's bromoquinine begins 5 to 10 minutes after taking. That's amazing prompt relief, decisive action. And remember, Grove's bromoquinine contains 9 active ingredients. It's a multiple medicine and works on all these different symptoms of a cold at the same time. Listen, relieves headache, eases body aches, alleviates muscular pain, reduces fever, relieves nasal stuffiness. Whenever the distress of a cold has you in its grip, take bromoquinine cold tablets exactly as directed. And be sensible. Rest and avoid exposure. Ask your druggist specifically for Groves, Grove's bromoquinine, or just say Grove's cold tablets. Look for the Grove signature on every box.
Now, let's have another rumor.
Some of the Army men I know are pretty worried. They've heard that once a man is sent overseas, he loses all chance of becoming an officer.
Nonsense. American soldiers can become officers no matter where they are. If the Army thinks a man has the stuff, he'll be sent to training school. And the fact that he's overseas, living under combat conditions, gives him a better chance to show the stuff he's made of. He has to think straight and act fast. Our Army is deadly serious about getting officers wherever and whenever they can find them. It doesn't make any difference if a man is in New Guinea or Iceland. He'll still be sent to officers' training school. Already, thousands have been sent home from Australia, England, Africa, the Solomons, and Hawaii. But the Army found so many men who had the makings of officers, they decided to set up schools in England, Australia, and several island bases in the South Pacific. And just like the schools at home, they're making officers out of plain doughboys. If you live in Newark, perhaps you know Peter Rodino. If you live in Astoria, you might have run into Walter McFadden. If you live in the Bronx, you might have gone to school with Emmanuel Stevens, Max Zera, or Arthur Iannone. Salute them all. They're second lieutenants, officers, trained and commissioned overseas.
Another story I picked up is about the USO. My druggist told me folks are saying the USO collects millions of dollars from the public and then uses it all to pay the salaries of its top executives.
Baloney. The top 9 executives of the USO serve without pay. They give their time to the USO. So do 500,000 other people. They're all zero-a-year men and women. You want to know what really happens to the money you give the USO? I'll tell you. It goes to make our soldiers and sailors happy. Not only to furnish club rooms for them with books and games, not only to pay for dances and parties, but for little personal things that make the difference between cold regimental life and the friendliness of home. 10 million men drop into the 1,200 USO clubhouses each month. There they find 600,000 USO workers ready to help them. No matter what the problem, the USO can almost always solve it. One soldier wanted to pat a dog like his old pal back home before boarding his ship. That was easy for the USO to arrange. Another soldier was worried because his wife needed a baby carriage for their youngster. They hadn't a priority rating, and he was in the Army, where he couldn't do anything about it. The USO found him a baby carriage and saw it safely delivered. A boy back from Australia had a pet kangaroo and no place to leave it. So he checked it with the USO, and the volunteer checkroom girl bottle fed it for him. One afternoon about 3 weeks ago, a soldier walked into the USO clubhouse at a southern camp. He wanted to talk to the director. One of the volunteer workers showed him into her office. Smiling, the director asked him to tell her what it was he wanted. Well, I don't suppose it's possible, he began, but I'd like you to find me a baby, a boy baby, about 3 months old. As he spoke, he looked at the floor, roughing up the carpet with his foot. I wouldn't want it for long, just a few minutes. The director was puzzled. Why, I guess we can find you a baby, she said, but why do you want one, and why must it be a 3-month-old and a boy? Well, I've got a baby back home in Idaho. He's 3 months old and a boy, and I've never seen him, never even held him. I guess maybe it's asking too much, but I'd kind of like to know what a baby like that looks like and what he feels like. The following day, a trembling soldier stood on the doorstep of a family with a 3-month-old boy baby. It had been quite a search, but the USO director had found a baby that fitted the specifications, and she'd arranged for the soldier to have dinner with the family. As he rang the bell, somewhere in the back of the house, the baby began to yell. The soldier smiled. His tense nerves relaxed. The door opened, and he went in. I got to thank you, began the soldier, as they all shook hands. Where's the baby? Where's the baby, please? I left him in the other room, said the mother. He was crying, and I thought you'd rather wait. The soldier tugged at his collar. I've waited long enough, ma'am, he said. And besides, I kind of like that noise. The mother left the room and returned in a moment with a blanket full of yells. Gingerly, the soldier pulled back the covers. Gee, he said, look at those little hands. And then he stood there, just looking for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I wonder, would you maybe let me hold him just for a minute? Sure, said the father. And the mother dropped the tiny bundle into the soldier's stiffly outstretched arms. He was afraid to move. He was certain he would drop it. And then he walked slowly to a chair and sat down. The baby stopped crying and grinned at him. Gosh, the soldier said, a real baby, just like mine. And I'm holding him. Holy smoke. Holy smoke. That soldier is now in North Africa, fighting for his wife and 3-month-old son he's never seen. And that's where your USO dollars go. They help keep American men fighting and winning this war. There are a lot of rumors you may hear, a lot of phonies that are going the rounds, but don't believe them. Check up on the stories that are told you, and if you want to tell one yourself, tell a true one. Tell your friends American soldiers will have 5 desserts for Christmas dinner. Tell them Goering tried to hide millions of dollars from the United States, but we found them and took them away from him. For old Herman. Tell them the United States is training officers in England, Australia, and even on the tiny islands of the Pacific. Tell them the USO gives our soldiers what they want, even when it's to hold a baby. Good night.
B-complex vitamins are absolutely essential to life. If you don't get B-complex vitamins from some source, you die. When you lack sufficient B-complex vitamins, you suffer with a bad case of nerves and jitters. You worry constantly. You lack pep, vigor, and vitality. You run down in general. Guard your health. Eat the best foods you can get. But don't stop there. Supplement your diet with Groves, G-R-O-V-E-S, Groves B-complex vitamins. Groves gives you all the medically recognized necessary B-complex vitamins. Groves B-complex vitamins are guaranteed in quality and potency. Unit for unit, there are no better B-complex vitamins. And they're distributed by the makers of famous bromoquinine cold tablets. They want you and your whole family to get the wonderful benefits of these health-protecting vitamins. So the price, only 29 cents for the regular size. For even greater economy, get the large size. Over a month's supply for only $1. Today, ask your druggist for and be sure you get Groves B-complex vitamins. Remember that name, G-R-O-V-E-S, Groves B-complex vitamins. Troman Harper, the rumor detective, will be back again next Sunday night at 6:30 with the truth about rumors. This is Joe Ripley wishing you a pleasant good evening and reminding you to listen to Melody Lane with Jerry Wayne Monday and Wednesday nights at 8:15. This is Mutual.
World News Today, brought to you by Continental Radio and Television Corporation, makers of Admiral Radio, America's smart set. By shortwave broadcast, direct from important world capitals, as well as the leading news centers of our own country, CBS correspondents are waiting to bring you a complete report from the world's political and battlefronts. But first, here's John Daly with a summary of headline news as received in New York.
The news from the battlefronts is good. The newest United Nations offensives, the Red Army's Middle Dawn attacks in Russia, and the British move into Jap-held Burma are making good progress. And in North Africa, the Allied pincers are slowly closing around the Germans and Italians as Hitler frantically tries to hold on to prepare the defenses against an Allied invasion of South Europe. In Russia, in the Middle Dawn offensive, the Red Army is sweeping westward at a speed comparable to the Nazi advance eastward last July. They have taken Katamarovka, only 55 miles north of Milerovo, and now threaten the entire railway line from Voronezh to Milerovo. Milerovo is a junction point of the Moscow-Rostov Railroad. It has already been cut. In Russian hands, it can and probably will be the base of a Russian offensive south to retake Rostov and smash or trap the entire German force in the great Stalingrad salient. Once again, the Russians report that they have taken thousands of German prisoners, this time well over 10,000. That fact alone is extremely significant. It's unlikely that the Russians want to take any German prisoners and will not if any semblance of resistance is offered. The thousands of Nazis that are falling into Russian hands confirm earlier Russian reports that German troops are surrendering wholesale and that the morale of the Nazi army in Russia has deteriorated. About a year ago today, Hitler, with a great deal of fanfare, took over supreme command of the German armies. The best Christmas gift the United Nations could receive is the assurance that he will not relinquish that command. As the new Russian offensive hammers and tears chunks out of the Germans, dispatches said that everywhere along the long Russian front, the Nazis are either in retreat, surrounded, or menaced on the flank. That perhaps is a bit on the optimistic side, but the Russians are holding on to what they've gained in the offensives at Stalingrad and west of Moscow. And although the Nazis have been reinforced and have launched vicious counterattacks, they have not been able to relieve the desperation of their position. Russia has regained 65,000 square miles of Soviet soil so far in the winter offensives. If the new Middle Don offensive maintains its momentum, it will probably force a general Nazi withdrawal that will finally lift the siege of Stalingrad. On the other side of the world, the Japanese Axis partner is still refusing to give battle. A communique from New Delhi said that the British forces moving into Burma continued their invasion without making contact with the Japs. In the air, Allied fighters covering and working with the ground troops are shooting up the Jap-held Akyab area, and Allied bombers are raiding the main Jap airport at Toungoo. In a night raid on the Jap airport at Toungoo, Jap fighters intercepted, but all Allied bombs were dropped in the target area, and all Allied planes returned to base. The Japanese withdrawal without fighting is something of a mystery. It's not like them, and they themselves have been the authority for some reports received in the past few weeks that the British were going to launch an offensive to retake Burma. They've had months to prepare their defenses. But whatever the reason, British General Wavell is obviously looking for a fight, and the Chinese have announced that their army is ready to join in the invasion. In North Africa, the Eastern Allied pincer arm in Libya is moving steadily forward. The Western arm in Tunisia is still preparing for the land offensive. That Allied air power is smashing at Axis objectives all over Tunisia, and heavy Allied air action is also reported in Western Europe across the English Channel. There has been no official news as yet, but strong fighter forces and a large American bomber force have crossed the Channel and headed into France. We'll get the latest developments on the Mediterranean and European fighting from CBS correspondents abroad. In the Pacific, General MacArthur's forces in New Guinea have made new gains in the Buna area. The only Jap forces remaining in that area are to hold out as long as they can, but the Allies are checkmating all attempts to reinforce them. And now for the first report from abroad, Admiral Radio takes you to CBS Algiers, Charles Cullingwood reporting.
This campaign in French North Africa has settled down into a muddy struggle for supply. In this present phase, a truck driver or a good mechanic is almost as important as a general. It's not very romantic, this truck driver's war. But back in the early days of this campaign, there was romance and melodrama enough for anyone. Those were the days when generals were being spirited around the Mediterranean by submarine, and there were secret conferences beneath trapdoors, and one if by day, two if by night lantern signals hanging from steeples. No episode in these almost dime novel days was more genuinely thrilling than the dramatic appearance in North Africa of General Giraud. I suppose you know that Giraud escaped from France by submarine. But the whole story of that escape has not yet been told. Giraud's rescue was engineered by an American naval captain named Gerald Wright. Wright had been with General Clark when Clark landed in North Africa before the campaign began. And he used the same submarine to get Giraud out. It was a British submarine commanded by Lieutenant Jewell. This submarine left port late in October. Captain Wright didn't know where he was to pick up General Giraud, but he knew about where, so they lay off the coast of France until November 4th. On November 4th, the submarine received directions. They were told to rendezvous and given information about minefields, and the escape was fixed for the night of November 6th. As Captain Wright says, the next step was the most ticklish of all, going submerged into a landlocked harbor in darkness. They surfaced and lay to less than 1,000 yards off the French beach. An hour later, a large rowboat came alongside. In it were General Giraud, his son, and two staff officers. As Captain Wright tells the story, by this time the sea was considerably rougher. The rowboat was pitching as it eased up to the forward casing of the submarine. Just as the general stepped from his boat, the boat pitched, and this threw him off balance and he fell into the water. Captain Wright adds that the general was rescued unhurt. After that, the submarine left the harbor at, quote, maximum speed. But the escape was by no means completed. Zero was out of France, but he was not yet in safety. As the submarine proceeded out to sea, they received a signal from General Eisenhower telling them that a plane would meet them at dawn. That was dawn on November 7th. The plane didn't find them until 11:30 in the morning. The sea was choppy and it was hard to transfer the passengers and their baggage. Just to make matters worse, an unidentified plane hove into sight and circled the area for 20 minutes. But finally, General Zero and his party were in the seaplane and the seaplane in the air, and thus, quote Captain Wright again, on the afternoon of November 7th, some hours before the operation for the liberation of North Africa was launched, we delivered Zero to Eisenhower. This is Charles Collingwood returning you to New York.
Despite the foreign background noise which followed the pattern of Axis jamming of Allied broadcasts, we hope that Charles Collingwood's report from Algiers was understandable. And now for our next report from overseas, Admiral Radio takes you to CBS London. Bob Trout reporting.
London, news the United States Army bombers were out over the continent today, for people on the southeast coast could see them flying out across the channel, so low that their American markings were plain and clear. They were gone a long time, some 3.5 hours, so the air-wise people of the southeast coast knew this time they'd gone far inland. A few moments ago, United States Army Air Force headquarters in London gave out the news. A large force of flying fortresses and liberators flew this afternoon to Romilly-sur-Seine, 80 miles southeast of Paris, and 180 miles from the French coast. It's the location of a large airfield. It's too early to have the results of the day's activity, but the early announcement tells us that nearly 300 aircraft of Royal Air Force's Fighter Command cooperated with the large force of American bombers. The fighters' role was to support the bombers, providing some cover for part of the way in toward the target and out again, while others carried out sweeps. It was the first time in 8 days that the weather has permitted large-scale air operations over northern France. A great part of daylight Allied air activity from bases in Britain is directed against the enemy's transport system on the continent. Today in London, the parliamentary secretary to the Ministry of Economic Warfare said that German-controlled railroads have to carry a greater burden than any railroad system has ever done before. A good deal of the strain has been thrown on the enemy railroads by Allied attacks on Germany's sea routes in the North Sea, in the Baltic, and in the Mediterranean. Late this afternoon, the Germans announced that Laval, Jonow, Goering, and Ribbentrop had been holding one of those conferences at Hitler's headquarters. Political and military discussions was the way the Germans put it. Furthermore, the Germans say, the meeting was imbued with the determination of the Axis powers to make an all-out effort to win final victory. This is defensive talk from the people who started out to conquer the world in an offensive without intermission. And it's also something more. It's the kind of talk engaged in by people who have taken a severe blow and know it. Today's German announcement has, in London, a somewhat familiar ring. It sounds not unlike some of those statements from London back in the days when the British were taking it hard. The British were tough enough to come through all right, and there's no doubt the Germans will make a very powerful effort to emulate the British example. For our next report, we go now to CBS Cairo and the report of Winston Burdett.
This is Chester Morrison in Cairo. One trouble with being on the winning side of this war is that the Germans run too fast. And if a reporter stuck in Cairo wants to get to the front, he has to fly. The British didn't have a plane available when I wanted to go, but the Americans had dozens. So I was told by the handsome American major who runs that part of the show. Mind you, I don't think this was deliberate, but when I missed the plane he had arranged, through no fault of his, and came trailing back to the hotel in the evening, dirty and disappointed, it was probably only coincidence that the major was sitting in the lobby having a pink juice with my girl. So I got away the next morning, and for 3 days I waited at Gambut, a way station in the desert, for another plane to Addis Ababa. And when that plane took off, it was loaded with 50-gallon drums of gasoline, lashed to the sides of the cabin with rope. I was the only passenger. And when the dashing young American pilot came into Ajidabia, he landed downwind and bounced across the rough field like a kangaroo and poked the plane's nose into the mud and nearly turned a somersault. The lashings on the gasoline drums broke, and strong men groaned as they lifted the drums off me. I groaned, too. And in the week I spent with broken ribs in a hospital tent at Ajidabia, I missed the day we moved into a gala, and the day the New Zealanders got behind the enemy and smashed a third of his tank and captured at least 500 prisoners. But lying in that tent, surrounded by men who had been blown up by mines, I discovered that no matter how badly a man's body may be hurt, his spirit can remain undamaged. You get a new viewpoint of the war when you lie on your back and look at it. And my girl didn't like the Major anyway. She said he had more hands than a caterpillar. This is Chester Morrison returning you to CBS New York and John Daly.
Before bringing you more news from CBS correspondents, here's Warren Sweeney with a word from Admiral Radio.
Could this scene take place in your household?
Hey, Mom. Oh, Mom, you know about that radio that went dead this morning? Pop said he'd fix it tonight. Well, he did. Our radio's in a worse mess than the alarm clock was when I went to work on it.
A year ago, we might have thought such a scene was comic. Today, it brought us on tragedy. A year ago, if Pop accidentally broke a vital part while trying to repair the family radio, it didn't matter much, for he could buy a new one. Today, however, new parts, like new radios, are difficult to get. Therefore, when your radio needs attention, it's important that you call not just a handyman, but a highly skilled radio technician. The best man to call is your Admiral dealer. And there are 3 reasons why he is the best man. First, Admiral dealers are professionals. They have all the facilities, all the knowledge necessary to put a radio in perfect condition, regardless of make. Second, Admiral dealers are businessmen in your own community. They'll give you honest service economically. Third, Admiral dealers realize Uncle Sam is depending upon radio to furnish war information to his citizens. So they've pledged themselves to do their best for America's radio sets. Take care of your radio, and when it needs attention, call your Admiral dealer. And now here once again for Admiral Radio is John Daly.
For the news at home, Admiral Radio turns to CBS Washington, Lee White reporting.
A Navy communique 1 hour ago reported the continuance of our air offensive against the Japanese airdrome at Munda on New Georgia Island. For the 9th successive day, dive bombers and flying fortresses attacked the installations and the runway at Munda yesterday. No American planes were lost, but 3 intercepting enemy fighters were shot down. Here in Washington, Senator Burton K. Wheeler of Montana, a pre-war isolationist and a leader of the America First Committee, has threatened to demand a congressional investigation of the way the Justice Department has been handling the prosecution of Nazi sympathizers. Mr. Wheeler says he thinks it's a disgrace the way 28 persons were indicted here in Washington on charges of sedition. Those indicted include such people as George Sylvester Virek, an admitted German agent, Elizabeth Dilling, author of The Red Network, the Reverend Gerald B. Winrod, otherwise known as the Jayhawk Hitler, and William Dudley Pelley, the Fuhrer of the Silver Shirts. In an interview published today in the Washington Post, Senator Wheeler accused Secretary of Justice Biddle of attempting to smear him and present his pre-war isolationism as a crime. As for the 28 persons now awaiting trial for sedition, Mr. Wheeler said he knew nothing about them, whether they're guilty or innocent, but he said he's convinced they won't have a fair trial. Mr. Wheeler attacked the Washington Post as a stooge of the Department of Justice and called its reporter a spy. He added that he thinks reporters and newspapers who have helped to indict the defendants are engaged in a dirty business and predicted that the day will soon come when they will all regret it. The reply of the Washington Post was simply to print a detailed story about a speech the senator made before an America First rally in Los Angeles last year, charging that Franz Ferenc, a German agent now under arrest, had printed the posters and the banners displayed at the meeting and had otherwise assisted in the organization of the rally. The Post today also reprinted 2 letters from Senator Wheeler to Secretary Biddle, in which, among other things, the senator accuses Mr. Biddle of heading an inquisition. Mr. Biddle's reply was also published in the Post. He simply promised to consider any allegations of improper conduct on the part of the Justice Department, provided the senator can furnish him with specific information. At 1 minute after midnight tomorrow morning, the ban on gasoline will be lifted. A coupons will be honored and will still be worth 3 gallons. B and C coupons, however, will be reduced in value from 4 to 3 gallons each. Tomorrow, there's going to be a conference between Economic Stabilizer Burns, Petroleum Administrator Ickes, Transportation Director Eastman, and Leon Henderson, the retiring Price Administrator. Presumably, the whole gasoline rationing system is going to be reorganized entirely, but to what extent will depend on the results of tomorrow's conference. All we know at the moment is what Mr. Henderson told us last night, that gasoline restrictions are going to be much more rigidly enforced in the future, and that drastic steps are going to be taken to eliminate bootlegging, which is becoming more and more of a problem. As for Christmas travel, the government wants to discourage everyone it can from going home for Christmas, but no orders have been issued. The government is leaving it up to the individual's judgment and his conscience not to put too much of a strain on transportation facilities during the Christmas holidays. Today, Donald M. Nelson reiterated past warnings that the nation faces ever more drastic restrictions on all sorts of travel, by rail, by bus, air, and by private automobile. In a letter to James E. Murray, head of the Senate Small Business Committee, Mr. Nelson says, travel by automobile is due for restriction much more drastic than that obtaining today. Travel by common carrier will be increasingly inconvenient, and in some cases not permissible at all. He advises Mr. Murray to draft plans for storing up consumer goods in the immediate vicinity of local markets as a safeguard against possible temporary breakdowns in the distributive system. There may be occasions, hours, days, or weeks in duration, he predicts, when civilian goods cannot be moved in adequate quantities to supply certain areas. Therefore, says Mr. Nelson, it will be advisable for merchants to have considerable inventories of food, fuel, clothing, and medical supplies on hand at all times. Last Friday, when the gasoline ban was first announced, many people seemed to think it was designed mainly to prevent holiday travel by automobile. Thousands of people here in Washington had been hoarding their coupons in the hope of being able to drive home and spend Christmas with their families. They knew the government disapproved of holiday travel, and so they thought the suspension of gasoline distribution had been ordered on their account. Now it seems that it wasn't, and though the government still frowns on going home for Christmas, it will apparently be possible for many people to do so. Whether they will or not, of course, depends on how seriously they privately consider the gasoline shortage to be. But the 3-day suspension seems to have had a sobering effect on many people, to judge from the number of telephone calls the local studio here has been receiving from listeners who want to help solve the problem. I now return you to John Daly in New York.
One of the big news stories here at home today is the return of Captain Eddie Rickenbacker to this country. He will tell his own story over most of these stations at approximately 3:30 Eastern Wartime this afternoon. Now, here in New York is Major George Fielding Elliott, Columbia's military expert, with an analysis of the significance of the new British offensive in Burma. Major Elliott.
It is far too early to determine whether the British invasion of Burma is the beginning of a real attempt to recover all of Burma from the Japanese, or is merely a local operation with the limited objective of recovering the airfield and port of Akyab on the shore of the Bay of Bengal. The enthusiasm with which the news of the British move has been received in Chongqing is, of course, understandable. Only by the recovery of Burma can China's communications with the outside world by way of the famous Burma Road be restored. Naturally, this is an operation in which the Chinese would be only too happy to cooperate to the fullest extent of their power. But the advantages to be derived from the reconquest of Burma would not be China's advantages alone. To reopen the Burma Road would mean that Allied air power could move more freely into China, because fuel and bombs and spare parts could be sent in. And the building up of Allied air bases at mainland positions is the best means of directing air attacks against the heart of Japanese industry. Those air attacks which seem to offer the best means of bringing the realities of war home to the Japanese people. Moreover, the recapture of Burma would be do a great deal to offset the feeling of defeatism in India, which has been the hidden cause of much of the political and social unrest in that great subcontinent. However, if Burma is to be retaken, the operations will have to be of a far more extensive nature than the present thrust toward isolated Akia. Other invasion columns, British and Chinese, will have to converge on the difficult frontiers of that country, and the British fleet in the Bay of Bengal will have to blockade Rangoon and Mulmine to cut off the Japanese supplies and reinforcements. These must, of course, come by sea, for the land communications between Burma and Thailand are as difficult as those between Burma and India, if not more so. The British report that the Japanese are offering no opposition to the thrust toward Akia. This is not like the Japanese, who have usually fought tooth and nail for every foot of ground when attacked. The reason is probably a tactical one. Probably the area into which the British are advancing offers no position suitable for defense, and the Japanese are therefore withdrawing toward stronger positions.
That was Columbia's military expert, Major George Fielding Elliott. Here's a message from our sponsor. Today being the first day of Christmas week, Admiral takes this opportunity of extending cordial greetings to listeners from coast to coast. America's Christmas season this year is happier than last. All the luxuries on our tables may be less in quantity, and the trimmings on our gifts not so elaborate. But now, we and the other United Nations are solidly on our way to victory. There is happiness in knowing each of us is playing a part in bringing about this victory to free mankind from bondage. Working and fighting together for one cause forms a tie which binds every American to every other American. Admiral workers feel the spirit of brotherhood deeply. They are united in producing the best possible radio equipment for America's armed forces, as much of it as is humanly possible. Admiral workers are united in looking forward to the Christmas when they will again be turning out the radio sets America wants in its homes, Admiral radios, for when victory is won, Admiral will resume its place as the world's largest manufacturer of radio phonograph combinations with automatic record changers. Uncle Sam has provided V-mail service for your boy who is stationed overseas. For V-mail service, write your letter on V-mail stationery, obtainable at any store where stationery is sold. Use regular airmail stamps and put it in the mailbox. The Army and the Post Office will do the rest. Photograph your letter on microfilm, fly it overseas, rephotograph, and hand it to your boy exactly as you wrote it. This is an extra service from Uncle Sam. World News Today is brought to you each Sunday at this hour by Continental Radio and Television Corporation, makers of Admiral Radio, America's smart set. Be sure to listen again next Sunday when Admiral brings you World News Today by shortwave, direct from the leading news centers of the world. This is Warren Sweeney saying good afternoon and Merry Christmas from Admiral Radio. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The WBBM Air Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
DuPont presents the Cavalcade of America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by DuPont, makers of better things for better living through chemistry. Tonight we're privileged to present the distinguished stars of the American theater, Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne, in a new Christmas miracle play written for our times by Stephen Vincent Benet. It is called A Child is Born.
I'm your narrator. It's my task to say just where and how things happen in our play. It's an old task, old as the human heart. Old as those bygone players in their art who, in old days, when faith was nearer earth, played out the mystery of Jesus' birth in hall or village green or market square for all who chose to come and see them there. So we tonight, who are your players too, ask but to tell that self-same tale to you. The time is time, the place is anywhere. The voices speak to you across the air to say that once again a child is born. A child is born. I pray you all give us your audience and hear this matter with reverence. There is a town where men and women live as people do in troubled times, times when the world is shaken. There is an inn.
And
A woman sings there in the early morning.
There shall be born a child born of woman, and yet undefiled. King Herod, now what will you say?
Singing again. I told you not to sing.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Forgot. That's fine. That's wonderful. That answers everything. The country's occupied. We have no country. You've heard of that, perhaps. You've seen their soldiers, haven't you? You know just what can happen to our sort of people once there's a little trouble. Answer me.
I've seen, I know, but...
But, oh, la, sometime I think your ways will drive me mad. Is it your business what King Herod does? Is it your place to sing against King Herod? Do you pretend to know the ins and outs of politics and why the great folk do the thing they do? And why we have to bear them? Because it's we who have to bear them. First and last and always in every country and in every time. They grind us like dry wheat between the stones. Don't you know that?
I know that somehow kings should not be wicked and grind the people down. I know that kings like Herod should not be...
All right. I'm not denying that. I'm reasonable enough. I know the world. It's a bad world, but it must last our time. Herod is Herod, but my end's my end. I do the best I can. I pay my taxes here in this conquered and forsaken land. And as for all your fine, rebellious souls who hide out in the hills and stir up trouble, call themselves prophets, too, and prophesy that something new is coming to the world, the Lord knows what. Well, it's a long time coming. And meanwhile, we're the wheat between the stones.
Something must come.
Believe it if you choose, but meantime, if we're clever, we can live and even thrive a little. Clever wheat that slips between the grinding stones and grows into the good, the profitable grain. At least if you will not sing subversive songs to other people, but your poor old husband who loves you still in spite of all your fancies and always will. Come, wife, I've got some news. I didn't mean to be so angry with you. Give us a kiss. I couldn't help the child. I know you think of that this time of year. He was my son, too, and I think of him. I couldn't help his dying.
No, husband, no.
He stretched his little arms to me and died. And yet I had the priest, the high priest, too. I didn't spare the money.
No, my husband, I'm a barren bough. I think and sing, and I'm a barren bough.
Oh, come.
The fault is mine. I had my joyous season, my season of full ripening and fruit, and then the silence and the aching breast. I thought I would have children. I was wrong. But my flesh aches to think I do not have them. I did not mean to speak of this at all. I do not speak of it. I will forget, not sing at all. It was long past and gone. Tell me your news. Is it good news?
The best. The prefect comes to dinner here tonight with all his officers. Oh, yes, I know. The enemy, of course, the enemy. But someone has to feed them.
And they'll pay.
Cash.
On the nail.
Yes.
Good.
I thought you'd say so. Oh, we'll make no great profit. Not tonight. I've seen the bill of fare they asked of me. Quails in midwinter. Well, we'll give them quails. And charge them for them, too. You know the trick. They must be well served. I'll care for that. The honest innkeeper, the thoughtful man. Oh, do not spoil my servants with largesse, your worship. And he won't. He pinches pennies. But once he's come here, he will come again, and we shall live, not die, and put some coin, some solid, enemy, and lovely coin under the hearthstone, huh? Spoil the Egyptians. Hark, what's that? I'll go. The maids aren't up yet, lazy bones. A minute, just a minute. It's early yet. You needn't beat the door down. This is an honest inn. Oh, good morning.
Hail, Caesar. Are you keeper of this inn?
Yes, sir.
Orders from the prefect. No other guests will be entertained at your inn tonight after sundown. The prefect wishes all the rooms to be at the disposal of his guests.
Sir, when the prefect first commanded me, there was a party of my countrymen engaged for a small room He'll hear no noise at all.
This is the prefect's feast, the Saturnalia. You've heard your orders.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed, sir.
Well, see that carried out. No other guests. Hail, Caesar.
Hail, Caesar. Oh, that's pleasant. All the rooms at the disposal of the prefect. No other guests. Remember, no other guests.
I will remember.
Do so. It's an order. Now, about the quail. You make the sauce. That's the important thing. A crow can taste like quail with a good sauce. You have your herbs.
Yeah.
Well, then, begin. It's morning and we haven't too much time. Sarah, Leah, where are those lazy servants? Leah and Sarah, come and help your mistress. I'll rouse the fools. There's work to do today.
And the day passed, and night fell on the town, silent and still and cold. The houses lay huddled and dark beneath the watching stars, and only the inn windows streamed with light.
What's the prefect saying up there?
Gentlemen, men of Rome, mindful of Rome's historic destiny and of our good friend King Herod, who has chosen alliance with Rome rather than a useless struggle, keep them under with a firm hand.
Oh, what was he saying up there?
I don't know. I don't know the big words. The soldier said...
You and your soldier.
Oh, he's not so bad. He brought me a trinket, see?
You and your Roman trinkets. I hate serving them. I'd like to spit in their cups each time I serve them.
Oh, you wouldn't dare.
Oh, wouldn't I, though?
Here. What's this? Why are you standing idle? They're calling for more wine.
Let Leah serve them. She likes their looks.
Sarah.
Yes, mistress.
Please, Sarah, we've talked like this so many times.
Very well, mistress, but let her go first. Get up the stairs, you little soldier's comfort. I hope he pinches you.
Mistress, it's not my fault. Does Sarah have
Go, both of you.
You go first.
You ought to beat the girl. She's insolent and shows it.
You can't be too hard on her. Her father's dead, and her brother's in the hills. And yet she used to be a merry child. I can remember her when she was merry a long time since.
You always take their side, and yet you think a self-respecting inn could have some decent and well-mannered maids. But no such luck. Sullens and sluts. The lot of them. Give me a stool. I'm tired. Say 30 dinners, and double for the prefect, and the wine. Best, second best, and common. Not bad, but then... Why do you sit there staring at the fire, so silent, and so waiting, and so still?
I do not know. I'm waiting.
Waiting? For what?
I do not know. For something new and strange. Something I've dreamt about in some deep sleep, truer than any waking. Heard about long ago, so long ago, in sunshine and the summer grass of childhood, when the sky seemed so near. I do not know its shape, its will, its purpose. And yet all day its will has been upon me, and there is light in it, and fire, and peace, newness of heart, and strangeness like a sword, and all my body trembles under it, and yet I do not know.
You're tired, my dear. Well, we shall sleep soon.
No, I'm not tired. I'm expectant as a runner is before a race, a child before a feast day, a woman at the gates of life and death, expectant for us all, for all of us who live and suffer on this little earth with such small brotherhood. Something begins. Something is full of change and sparkling stars. And yet I cannot read it. Yes, I wait and strive and cannot find it. Look! What's that?
They can't come in. I don't care who they are. We have no room.
Go to the door.
Well, is this the inn, sir? We're travelers and it's late and cold. May we enter?
Who is it?
Just a pair of country people, a woman and a man. I'm sorry for them.
My wife and I are weary. May we come in?
I'm sorry, my good man. We have no room tonight. The prefect's orders.
No room at all?
No, it's not my fault. You look like honest and well-meaning folk, and nobody likes turning trade away, but I'm not my own master. Not tonight. It may be in the morning.
Wait.
Must you mix in this?
Wait. Good sir, the enemy are in our house, and we... I did not see your wife. I did not know.
Her name is Mary. She is near her time.
Yes. Go, get a lantern. Quickly.
What?
Quickly. I once had a child. You have no room. We have no room, that's true, and it would not be right, not here, not now, not with those men whose voices you can hear are voices of death and iron, King Herod's voices, better the friendly beasts. What am I saying? We have a stable at the inn, safe from the cold at least. And if you choose, you shall be very welcome. Will you share it?
Gladly and with great joy.
The lantern, husband.
Nay, I will take it. I can see the path. Come.
Well, I suppose that you must have your way and any other night. They're decent people, or seem to be.
He has his arm about her, smoothing out the roughness of the path for her.
Although they are not even people of our town, as I suppose you know.
So rough a path to tread with weary feet.
Come in. There's frost upon the air tonight. I'm cold, or... Yes, I must be cold. That's it. That's it now, to be sure. Come, shut the door.
Something begins, starlit and sunlit. Something walks abroad in flesh and spirit and fire. Something is loose to change the shaken world.
The night deepens. The stars march in the sky. The prefect's men are gone. The inn is quiet. But in the street outside...
Poor shepherds watch by night with a hay, with a hoe. A star shone over us so bright, we left our flock to seek its light.
Sing so late. How can they sing so late? I'll go and see. Wait, I'll rub the window pane that's lined with frost. But they're shepherds from the hills.
Shepherds?
Yes, mistress. They have crooks and staves. The tattered cloaks are ragged on their backs. Their hands are blue and steel with the cold. Yet they all seem drunken. Not with wine, but with good news. Their faces shine with it.
Cold and so late. Poor creatures. Call them in. The prefect's men are gone.
Aye, but the master...
He's dozing. Do as I tell you.
Come in. Come in. Tarry a while and rest.
We cannot stay. We follow the bright star.
Where did they go? Would they not stay with us?
Mistress, they did not even look on me. They looked ahead. They had gone toward the stable of our inn.
The stable of our inn. And they are gone.
Aye, gone, but... Mistress, do you hear?
Hear what?
Hear what? The tread of steeds on the hard ground, iron-hoofed and ringing clear. Company that comes from out the east. I've never seen such things. I'm afraid. These are great lords, great kings with strange and memorable beasts, and crowns upon their heads.
What's that? Lords, nobles, kings here in Bethlehem, in our poor town. What fortune, oh, what fortune. Stand from the window there, you silly girl. I'll speak to them. My gracious noble lords, worthy and mighty kings, our humble inn is honored by your high nobility. Come in, come in. We've fire and beds and wine. Come in, tarry a while and rest.
We cannot stay. We follow the bright star.
I do not understand it. They're gone. They did not even look at me or pause, though there's no other inn. They follow the poor shepherds to the stable.
They would not tarry with us. No, not one.
And yet...
Peace, husband, you know well enough why none would tarry with us, and so do I. I lay a while in sleep, and a voice said to me, Gloria, Gloria in excelsis Deo. The child is born, the child is born. And yet I did not rise and go to him, though I had waited and expected long, for I was jealous that my child should die and her child live. And so I have my judgment, and it's just.
Dreams.
Were they dreams? The shepherds and the kings? Is it a dream, this glory that we feel streaming upon us, and yet not for us?
Now, Mistress, 'tis my fault, not yours. You told me seek the strangers in the stable and see they had all care, but I forgot. Mistress, the fault was mine. You told me also, but I did not go.
If there was any fault, wife, it was mine. I did not wish to turn them from my door, and yet I know I love the chink of money, love it too well, the good, sound, thumping coin. Love it, oh God, since I am speaking truth, better than wife or fire or chick or child, better than country, better than good fame. Would sell my people for it in the street, oh, for a price, but sell them. And there are many like me, and God pity us.
God pity us indeed, for we are human, and do not always see the vision when it comes, the shining change, or if we see it, do not follow it because it's too hard, too strange, too new. And now I know this, standing in this light, who have been half alive these many years, brooding on my own sorrow, my own pain. Life is not lost by dying. Life is lost minute by minute, day by dragging day, in all the thousand small, uncaring ways, the smooth, appeasing compromises of time which are King Herod and King Herod's men, always and always. Life can be lost without vision, but not lost by death, lost by not caring, willing, going on beyond the ragged edge of fortitude to something more, something no man has seen. You who love money, you who love yourself, you who love bitterness, and I who loved and lost and thought I could not love again, and all the people of this little town, rise up. The loves we had were not enough. Something is loose to change the shaken world, and with it we must change.
Now, that's well said.
Who speaks there? Who are you?
Who? Oh, my name is Dismas. I'm a thief. You know, starved, flea-bitten sort of boy who haunts dark alleyways in any town, sleeps on a fruit sack, runs from the police, begs what he can, and borrows what he must. That's me.
How did you get here?
By the door, innkeeper, the cellar door. Lock upon its old. I could pick locks like that when I was 5.
What have you taken?
Nothing. I tried the stable first. Then your cellar. I slipped in, crept up, rolled underneath the bench while all your honest backs were turned, and then...
And then?
Well, something happened. I don't know what. I didn't see your shepherds or your kings, but in the stable I did see the child, just through a crack in the boards, one moment's space. That's all that I can tell you. Is he for me as well? Is he for me?
For you as well.
Easy for all of us. There are so many of us, worthy mistress. Beggars who show their sores and ask for alms. Women cough their lungs out in the cold. Slaves. Oh, I've been one. Thieves and renegades who knife each other for a bit of bread, having no other way to get the bread. The vast sea of the wretched and the poor, whose murmur comes so faintly to your ears in this fine country. Has he come to all of us or just to you?
To every man alive.
I wish I could believe.
And if you did, no doubt you'd give up thieving.
Gently, lady, gently. Thieving's my trade. It's the only trade I know. But if it were true, if he had really come to all of us, I say to all of us, then honest man or thief, I'd hang upon a cross for him. Would you? Well, I see I've said something you don't like, something uncouth and bold and terrifying. Yet I'll tell you this. It won't be till each one of us is willing, not you, not me, but every one of us, to hang upon a cross for every man who suffers, starves, and dies. But there'll be no crosses and no tyrants, no Herods and no slaves. Well, it was pleasant thinking things might be so. So I'll say farewell. I've taken nothing. He was a fair child to look on.
Wait.
Why? What is it you see there by the window?
The dawn. The common dawn. The ordinary, poor, and mortal day. The shepherds and the kings have gone away. The great angelic visitors are gone. He is alone. He must not be alone.
I do not understand you, wife.
Nor I.
Do you not see? Because I see at last. Dismas the thief is right. He comes to all of us, or comes to none. We are the earth. His word must sow like wheat. And if it finds no earth, it cannot grow. We are his earth. The mortal and the dying, led by no star. The sullen and the slut, the thief, the selfish man, the barren woman. And yet, unless we go, his message fails.
Will he bring peace? Will he bring brotherhood?
He would bring peace. He would bring brotherhood. And yet he will be mocked at in the street.
Will he slay King Herod and rule us all?
He will not slay King Herod. He will die. There will be other Herods, other tyrants, great wars and ceaseless struggles to be free, not always won.
These are sad tidings.
No. They're glad tidings of great joy, because he brings man's freedom in his hands. The thought, the wish, the dream of brotherhood, never and never wholly to be lost. The water and the bread of the oppressed, the stay and succor of the resolute, the harness of the valiant and the brave, the new word that has changed the shaken world. And though he die, his word shall grow like wheat. And every time a child is born in pain and love and freedom, hardly won, born and gone forth to help and raise mankind, there will be women with a right to say, Gloria, Gloria in excelsis Deo, a child is born.
Gloria, Gloria.
Come, let us go. What can we bring him? What mortal gift?
I have a ribbon. It's my prettiest. It's not much, but he might play with it.
I have a little bell my father gave me. It used to make me merry. I've kept it. He may have it.
My pocket's empty, my rags are bare, but I can sing to him. That's what I'll do. And if he needs a thief to die for him...
Don't speak of dying. It's a nasty thing, nasty and cold. And I will give my gold. I say I'll give my gold, all of my gold, every round piece. Oh, do not look at me so judgingly with your child's candid eyes. I'm but a man. I will give all my heart.
And I, my faith, through all the years and years, though I forget, though I am led astray, though after this I never see his face, I will give all my faith. Come, let us go. We, the poor earth, but we, the faithful earth. Not yet the joyful, not yet the triumphant, but faithful, faithful to the end of time. Come.
Come, all ye faithful.
Joyful and triumphant.
Come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne, and to Stephen Vincent Benet, who wrote A Child is Born, DuPont extends its warm thanks and deep appreciation for their contribution at this Christmas season on the Calvalcade of America. And to all our Calvalcade listeners, we extend our Christmas greeting, a greeting of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Those words are as radiantly hopeful as ever in this bitter year of war, and as strong. So it is with hope and courage and abiding faith that the 200,000 men and women of DuPont join at this Christmas season with people of goodwill everywhere in a wish for the greatest gifts of all, victory and peace. On tonight's program, the orchestra and original score by Arden Cornwell were under the direction of Don Voorhees. This is Clayton Collier sending best wishes from DuPont.
This program came to you from New York. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. The Screen Guild play tonight,
The Juggler of Our Lady.
The starring players.
This is Ronald Coleman.
And this is Nelson Eddy. The Lady Esther Screen Guild players welcome you, and we hope your entire family and all your friends are listening in. For tonight is the long-awaited night in our show, the night when we present once again our beautiful and well-loved Christmas story, The Juggler of Our Lady, starring Nelson Eddy and Ronald Coleman. John Nesbitt, the famous commentator, wrote this adaptation of Anatole France's dramatic legend, and we thought it so beautiful a Christmas tale that several years ago we asked John's permission to perform it. Lady Esther is proud to bring it to you again tonight. And now, Ronald Coleman is here to bring you the story of the Juggler of Our Lady, and a Nelson Eddy to play and sing the role of the kindly monk who befriends the poor juggler. The special musical score will be played by Wilbur Hatch's Augmented Orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, The Juggler of Our Lady.
In the days when the world was young, there lived in France a man of no importance. Everyone said he was a man of no importance, and he firmly believed this himself. For he was just a poor traveling juggler who could not read or write, who went about from town to town following the little country fairs, and performing his tricks for a few pennies a day. His name was Barnaby. When the weather was beautiful and people were strolling about the streets, this juggler would find a clear space in the village square, spread a strip of old carpet out on the cobblestones, and on it he would perform his tricks for children and grown-ups alike. Now Barnaby, although he knew he was a man of no importance, was an amazing juggler. First, he would only balance a tin plate on the tip of his nose. But when the crowd had collected, he would stand on his hands and juggle 6 golden balls in the air at the same time, catching them with his feet. And sometimes, when he would juggle 12 sharp knives in the air, the villagers would be so delighted that a rain of pennies would fall on his strip of carpet. And then, when his day's work was over and he was wearily resting his aching muscles, Barnaby would collect the pennies in his hat, kneel down reverently, and thank God for the gift. Always the people would laugh at his simplicity, and everyone would agree that Barnaby would never amount to anything. But all this is about the happy days in Barnaby's life, the springtime days, when people were willing to toss a penny to a poor juggler. But when winter came, Barnaby had to wrap his juggling equipment up in the carpet and trudge along the roads begging a night's lodging in farmers' barns or entertaining the servants of some rich nobleman to earn a meal. And Barnaby never thought of complaining. He knew that the winter and the rains were as necessary as the spring sunshine, and he accepted his lot. For how, Barnaby would say to himself as he trudged along, could such an ignorant fellow as myself hope for anything better? Now, one year in France, there was a terrible winter. It began to rain in October, and there was hardly a patch of blue in the sky by the end of November. Yes, a terrible winter. The poor people huddled in their thatched huts and slowly starved away, and it is said that the wolves came down out of the mountains and ranged through the icy streets of Paris itself. And you can imagine what all this did to the little vaudeville entertainer whom this story is about. On an evening in early December, at the end of a dreary wet day, poor Barnaby trudged along a winding country road, sad and bent, carrying under his arm the golden balls and knives wrapped up in his old carpet. Then, as he slopped along in the mud, a faint sound came to Barnaby's ears, over the rain and the wind. Someone was coming up the road, and in spite of the storm, was singing as happily as if it were a day in June. Barnaby stopped and listened, with the rain running down to the tip of his short little nose. And then, through the mist, Barnaby saw a strange sight. Coming slowly around a bend in the road was a fat white mule. And on the mule's back, with his legs sticking almost straight out on each side, was a young monk. Now and then the young monk would bang the mule's side with his heel, and then go on singing into the storm with all his might. Barnaby waited. And then, as the mule came alongside of him, he ran along in the mud, while the young monk sang on as cheerfully as a lark.
They found him in a manger where oxen feed on hay. His mother Mary kneeling down unto the Lord did pray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
All of a sudden, the monk stopped, looked down, and there was Barnaby, hopping along near the mule's tail, staring at him. The monk smiled at him and called,
"It's going to be a cold night, Brother Juggler."
And Barnaby said, his teeth chattering, "Yes, indeed, sir, very cold indeed."
"Well, how would you like to spend the night at the monastery,
Oh, if I could only earn my lodging. But would they let an ignorant fellow like myself enter such a holy place?
Ignorant? Hop on behind me on the mule, friend. And the three of us, you and the mule and I, will soon be as warm as toast. For are we not all ignorant compared to God? Now to the Lord sing praises, all you within this place, and with with true love and brotherhood each other now embrace. This holy tide of Christmas all other doth efface. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Before we continue the story of the Juggler of Our Lady, I'd like to ask you to listen to a brief word from our hostess, Lady Esther.
Do you want to know what one of the most wonderful gifts of all can be to the man who's going away? It's to see the one he loves looking her very best, looking her most attractive. And why do I say that? Because, you see, when he's far away and lonely, it's his memory of her that will mean most to him. Yes, the memory of her looking fresh and young and lovely will cheer him up and be more precious to him than any ordinary gift could be. So don't deprive your man of that pleasure. Let him remember you looking your most attractive, and let him find you even more attractive when he comes home again. Now, there's nothing that can add more to your appearance, nothing that can make you more unforgettably lovely to him than a soft, smooth skin. But that doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a lot of different kinds of beauty preparations. Today, all you need for fresh, young-looking skin is just one cream, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. Now, I don't say that Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream is the only cream that will bring you results, but I do say that Lady Esther Face Cream, this one cream by itself, will take care of the 4 important needs of your skin. And I say that if you use it faithfully every morning and every night, you'll soon see a smoother, fresher, more clean-looking skin. You see, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream thoroughly cleans your skin. It softens your skin and relieves dryness. It makes your skin look lovelier by helping nature refine the pores. And finally, as though all that weren't enough, it leaves a smooth, flattering base for powder. So if you want to make the memory of you that he carries away with him a very lovely memory, start using Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream.
And now, Ronald Coleman and Nelson Eddy continue with the Lady Esther Screen Guild Players' presentation of the Juggler of Our Lady.
Well, that night Barnaby found himself seated at the great candlelit dining hall of the monastery. Although, of course, he sat at the bottom of the long table, together with the servants and beggars, Barnaby thought he had never seen such a wonderful place in his life. Everybody was laughing and telling old-fashioned jokes, and there were enormous steaming pasties standing about everywhere on the table, and huge tankards of creamy, foaming ale, and great pitchers of homemade wine. And, well, Barnaby just sat and ate and drank more than he ever had in his life. And then, to cap it all, his friend the monk, now in a fine dry robe, and just as merry as ever, was standing up to sing for the assembled company. Balthazar's song, which tells the tale of one of the 3 wise men journeying out of the east to Bethlehem.
The longest journey must have an end, and yet for days I've traveled o'er the desert, with naught to guide me save one brilliant star. Tonight it has not risen. Here will I and mine remain by this old well until the star returns to guide us on our way. fantastic shadows shimmering confound me. Without a guide I sure must lose my way. Without a guide I sure must lose my way. The night is dark and all is drear around me. Without a guide I sure must lose my way. Without a guide I sure must lose my way. My soul is dark, tomorrow gloom lies over, of strange beliefs which fail to bring it ease. Oh, days arise, disperse the clouds that cover. Oh, days arise, disperse the clouds that hover, and point the highway to eternal peace, and point the highway to eternal peace. Oh, days arise, oh, days arise, and point to the highway to eternal
Then, as the singer sat down again, suddenly everybody looked at Barnaby, for he had risen, trembling, and was running clear around the table to where the lordly abbot sat at the head, and there Barnaby sank to his knees. Father, grant my prayer. Let me stay in this wonderful place and work for you. I cannot hope to become one of you. I am too ignorant. But let me work in the kitchen and the fields and worship in the chapel. The monk who had met Barnaby on the road turned to the abbot.
This is a good man, simple and pure of heart.
So the abbot nodded, and Barnaby that night put his juggling equipment under the cot in his cell and decided that never again would he go back to his old profession. And in the days that followed, everyone smiled at the eager way he scrubbed the floors and labored through the buildings. And everyone smiled at his simplicity. As for Barnaby, his face beamed with happiness from morning until night, until 2 weeks before Christmas. Then Barnaby's joy suddenly turned to misery, for around him he saw every man preparing a wonderful gift to place in the chapel on Christmas. The leader of the monks had written a scholarly book in Latin, which he was going to dedicate to God on Christmas Day. And there was Brother Maurice, who had the art of illuminating copies of the Bible. With gold and silver and rare enamels, he would place exquisite miniature paintings on the corner of each page. And Brother Marbode was completing a marvelous statue of Christ. This fine artist spent all his days in carving images in stone, so that his beard, his eyebrows, and hair were always white with stone dust. And this Christmas he was completing one of his most inspiring works. Then there was Brother Ambrose, who wrote music, and who had completed scoring a great mass to be played on the organ during Christmas services. And Brother Joseph, who had trained the choir for weeks in an arrangement of chorales. All around, those educated, trained artists followed their work, each one of them readying a beautiful gift to dedicate to God on Christmas Day. But what about Barnaby? He could do nothing. I am but a rough man, unskilled in the arts, and I can write no book offer no painting, or statue, or poem. Alas, I have no talent. I have no gift worthy of the day. So Barnaby sank deep into sadness and despair. At night he could no longer sleep, but tossed on his mattress and stared at the ceiling overhead. At last, Christmas Day came, and the chapel was resplendent with the gifts of the brothers. The giant organ rang with the new music. The choir sang the chorales. The candles glittered around the great new statue. But Barnaby wasn't there. He was in his tiny cubicle, praying forgiveness for having no gift to offer. Then a strange thing happened. On the evening of Christmas Day, when the chapel should have been deserted, one of the monks came running, white-faced and panting with exertion, into the private office of the abbot. He threw open the door without knocking, seized the abbot by the arms. "Father, a frightful thing is happening. The most terrible sacrilege ever to take place is going on right in our own chapel. Come!" Together, the two portly men ran down the corridors, burst through a door, and came out on the balcony at the rear of the chapel. The monk pointed down toward the altar. The abbot looked, turned ashen in color. "He is mad!" For down below, in front of the altar, was Barnaby. He had spread out his strip of carpet, and kneeling reverently upon it, was actually juggling in the air 12 golden balls. He was giving his old performance, and giving it beautifully. His bright knives, the shining balls, the tin plate balanced on the tip of his nose. And on his face was a look of adoration and joy. "We must seize him at once," cried the abbot, and turned for the door. But at that moment, a light filled the church, a brilliant beam of light, coming directly from the altar, and both the monks sank to their knees. For as Barnaby knelt exhausted on his carpet, they saw the statue of the Virgin Mary move. She came down from her pedestal, and coming to where Barnaby knelt, she took the blue hem of her robe and touched it to his forehead, gently drying the perspiration that glistened there. Then the light dimmed, and up in the choir balcony, the monks were joined by the brother who had befriended Barnaby. His eyes were moist with joy as he perceived the miracle below. He turned and spoke to the abbot.
God has accepted the only gift he had to make.
And the abbot slowly nodded. "Blessed are the simple in heart, for they shall see God."
Thank you, Nelson Eddy. That was magnificent. We've planned a program of laughs and chuckles for you next Monday night. It was one of our most successful stage plays and also a most entertaining picture, The Male Animal. Our stars will be Olivia de Havilland, Joel McCrae, and Jack Carson. Ronald Coleman can now be seen in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer picture Random Harvest. Nelson Eddy appeared tonight through the courtesy of the makers of Old Gold cigarettes. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, to Wilbur Hatch, John Nesbitt for their splendid contributions to this Christmas program. And now, as a sort of surprise holiday gift, Nelson Eddy returns to bring us a wonderful song which he has sung on our Christmas program for the past several years. A song which we have come to regard as a great Yuletide tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Eddy, the choir, and the orchestra in the Lord's Prayer. Thank you, Nelson Eddy and Ronald Coleman. The Screen Guild players are presented by Lady Esther, who wishes you good night and Merry Christmas.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.